Hello, everyone. Say hello if you can hear me out there in YouTube land. We're down a few people today. T-shirt can't make it because his family has descended upon him en masse, so he won't be joining us. Mike might be here, but he's stuck traveling back from Jersey and has been spending time in Jersey, so maybe he won't be up to it. Today we are playing Earthdawn, the Mongoose Publishing Flaming Cobra imprint that was done some years ago. I believe I got these in lieu of some payment that Mongoose owed me back then. When would this have been? 2010. Yeah. So it's going back a ways, and never played it. And when I was generating the characters and considering the adventure for today, I discovered or rediscovered why I hadn't played it before, because there are certain ways and means of doing things in Earthdawn that are a little bit not necessarily complicated, but inconvenient. There's a lot of referencing of tables. But I have a cheat sheet, so hopefully that'll make it easier for the players and me. Earthdawn, at one point, was considered the deep prehistory of Earth. It was the previous magical cycle in the same timeline as Shadowrun. So, yeah, then they kind of moved away from that with later editions. I think they wanted to cash in on the success of Shadowrun to make Earthdawn go a bit further. I don't know how well that succeeded or not, but then they kind of seem to back off away from that a little bit. Though there remain hints here and there of immortal elves who lived from the first magical age through the human age and then re-emerged in the second magical age, but none of that's particularly relevant here. The world has recently, over the last 500 years or so, been through a kind of magical apocalypse. So this ebb and flow of magic hit a particularly high point, and then the walls of reality broke down, and Lovecraftian horrors from other dimensions flooded through into the world of Barsave, the name of the world in this, overran everything, ate almost everybody, messed a whole bunch of stuff up, and then as the magic ebbed away again, many of them were forced to leave, but they have left behind cults and horrors and mutations and so on. How could anyone survive, you might well ask? Well, they basically did a fallout. A lot of the various races of Barsave built themselves fallout shelters for hiding from Lovecraftian horrors and hid themselves away there underground, largely protected by mystical metal called orichalcum, which everyone fought each other over. And yeah, they built these shelters called cares and hid for about 5 centuries, if I'm remembering correctly, before they very tentatively emerged back above ground. So this kind of inverts the role of dungeons in Earthdawn, in that they have previously been shelters and homes to everybody, and obviously being underground and hidden and protected with metal, dwarves are probably the main cultural force in Barsave rather than elves, who previously would have lived above ground. We're starting play around a city called Tavar. They didn't hide underground. Instead, they turned their whole city into a gigantic magical sigil and used elemental magic to surround it with a mystical lightning field, essentially, which kept the horrors at bay for 500 years, though they had their own issues internally in that time. So Tavar is one of the few cities that still has the grandeur and splendor of the previous age, great many wealthy people, and is a really powerful and important regional power, run mostly by merchant families and a council of people who are selected via fighting through champions, which doesn't strike me as a particularly great way of choosing your government. But hey, what do I know? They kept the evil horrors out. Rules wise, so there is this big long table. You have like a rank or a rating, usually stat plus skill or something similar. That gives you a rating. You read that across. That gives you the number of dice that you roll. You roll those dice, you total up the result. If you get the highest score on one of the dice, you keep that dice and you roll another one of the same kind. And if that comes up high again, you grab another, you roll again, and you keep going until that doesn't happen anymore. That gives you a total. You cross-reference your total against the difficulty of the task that you're performing, and it categorizes your sort of degree of success. It's a bit unwieldy. Maybe it works okay in play. I don't know. We are going to find out. And that's about all you need to know. I realize that's quite a lot for this game, but it's that kind of game. So let's bring in the players. Was that good enough recap for everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
We'll figure it out as we go along. We might have a late player join us in a bit. We shall see. But otherwise, we have a party of 3. So I did write descriptions of the characters. You've had time to have a quick look at them. Do you want to introduce your characters, please? Starting with Bodhi.
Huzzah! I am Bodhi, as he begins to strum a lute. I am a famous son, an even richer bastard, and a dirtier slut. Come hang out with me, and I will find a new tale to tell.
Bodhi is a rich scion of one of the big merchant families. His father basically bankrolls him for everything, and all of his friends and hangers-on who hang around with him. So, yeah, you're all basically drinking buddies who hang out at the same tavern and drink Bodhi's father's money. That's your group concept. Cool. What can you tell us about your character?
So I am Beth Sela Stormlight. I said it. And I am a elf thief of the First Circle. I'm associated with the tavern. I like to collect little trinkets and all the tiny little things. Collect. And I'm very sarcastic and a little bit rude. But if I like you, then I really like you. And I will, protect you. So, and keep you close. But I am a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah, and your legitimate job is delivering packages around the city. So you're like a parkour messenger. That's your legitimate job. Right, and lastly, we have Ella Pedilap, who is still muted.
Yes. Ella. How to describe Ella? She's sort of a cross between Tinkerbell and Cynthia Plastercaster. She's fey, about a foot tall, constantly accompanied by the brrr of wings, as she very rarely doesn't fly. She spends the overwhelming amount of her time moving around, flying constantly, almost as if she's afraid to stand still, to sit still. She's constantly moving, chirruping, making grotesque and speciesly inappropriate sexual comments. She doesn't have the anatomy to deal with most of these things, but that doesn't prevent her from expressing an opinion about it.
Yeah, my main inspiration was the version of Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. So, if you know obscure French comic books, yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about. All right. So, Bethsella and Ella are hanging out at the tavern. What should we call this tavern? It's a rich merchant city in the south, in a quasi Middle Eastern, North African sort of setting. Let's call it the Hourglass. Okay, your tavern of choice is the Hourglass. They have a big glass hourglass out front, and each time someone comes in, they just tap it to spin it around so that the sand starts to flow again. On busy nights, it's practically spinning constantly. So it's a pretty popular tavern. It has a little courtyard in the middle, which is open to the sky. Lots of white stone. It's very old. The flagstones have been worn thin over time. Tavar is this ancient preserved city, so while it has the grandeur of ages past, it is pretty worn and dog-eared. It's not as mint. Foxed, I think they say on eBay if things are like this. But it's a raucous, lively place to spend your time of an evening. The wine flows freely. The food is perfectly serviceable. Yeah, it's your night to meet up with the gang. Some of the others are busy, but Bodhi should be along soon. So you'll have to spend your own coin if you want drinks at the moment. Dang. So what does Bethsella and Ella want to do at the moment while you wait?
Do I have a drink?
Not yet.
That's what I would like to do then.
Okay. The inn is split over 3 levels, and each level has its own either bar or cafe for tea or coffee or booze. So you sidle up to one of the bars and get the barkeep's attention. He's just refreshing his towel and mopping off the bar. Bethsella, how are you? Good?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Can't complain. Well, I can complain. I mean, we can always complain. Tips are never good enough. Hint, hint. What can I get you? The usual?
Yes, please.
We do have some new elven wines in from the new vineyards that are being set up. It's a little fresh, but it might be more to your taste than mine.
That sounds lovely. I wasn't feeling very fancy tonight, but that might change that. Thank you.
He rummages under the counter, fetches you a bottle of elven wine, and sets it down on the bar with a metal cup, a tumbler for you to drink it from. There we are. He takes a few coins off you. We won't bother with fiddling small change. And yeah, so you're set up. So Ella's
tip him a little extra though.
Okay, yeah. He grins and winks. So Ella, being 12 inches tall, you're a cheap drunk, which is useful. And
yes, except for the fact that she literally has no funds of her own at all. So if Bodhi's not here, she is literally going to she's going to be flying around the various kind of chandeliers, uttering deeply filthy and improper limericks. She was only the minister's daughter, but she knew how to take a collection. Now, come on, my dears, who'll buy me a drink?
She was only the fishmonger's daughter, but she lay on her back and said, "Fill it."
So with that in mind, making an attempt, we'll try and squeeze some mechanics in here nice and early, shall we?
Yeah.
I guess she's trying to seduce, I suppose.
Yeah, cajole.
Well, I don't have that, but I'm happy to roll without any skills if that makes a mechanical thing.
Okay, so we'll set the difficulty for that at 8. Let me just look at your character sheet and figure out.
Oh, artisan acting?
Uh,
It's sort of a performance.
Yeah, I mean, you're a sword master, and they're kind of like a fighting bard in a lot of ways. They're meant to be like swashbuckly, Three Musketeers, sort of thing. So it is fitting. So I'll let you roll seduction. So you've got a skill rating in that of 10 in total.
Okay, so that's factored in, right? Yep.
So if we look at the chart, that gives you 2d8.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you roll your 2d8.
You'll have a difficulty in mind. Oh, I see. No, of course, it just tells you what the... Yes, I see. I grok it now. I've got it. Okay.
Okay. Well, step and difficulty are different.
Mm-hmm.
So the difficulty will be 8. So you'll roll 2d8, and then we'll read across on the 8 row.
Okay. Okay. So I'm rolling 2d8, but I'm reading across from line number 8.
Yes.
And I got an 11 in total, so that's just above average, just under good. Yep.
Yeah, so an average success. So poor would be like a marginal success. Average is good enough. And a pretty filthy-mouthed fairy trying to catch a drink off someone in a crowded bar strikes me as not needing anything better than an average success. So a gruff dwarf laughs uproariously at your limericks and pours some of his brandy into a thimble for you.
Flying down to it, snatch it up, hovering, sort of horizontally hovering, so that I just can lean forward and just gently bite the tip of his nose.
Careful, girl! I bite back.
Promises, promises, my dear. Promises, promises.
You'll be stuck in my beard for weeks. Mind you, with all this flying you do, maybe you have to drink like a hummingbird.
Constant. Yeah, otherwise, you drink your body weight in sugar energy, or you've had it. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be fun. All right. Meanwhile, Bodhi, you're at home and you'd much rather be at the pub, but your father has summoned you to his study.
Hello, my dear old dad. How can I help you today? With a grin.
He looks up from his table, which is covered in scrolls and notebooks and quills and bottles of different colored ink, and there's like 3 different abacuses stacked on top of each other. And he just gives you an angry, long-suffering look, and then looks at something to the side of the door that you can't see because you haven't stepped all the way in yet.
I will take a half step forward and... What can I help you with? What's going on?
He continues to look in that direction.
I get into a little bit further and look in that direction. What do I see?
You see 3 young women, aged maybe 19, 18, 17, with a marked similarity in facial features, hair color, everything else. There's something naggingly familiar about them. You can't quite place it, but they all look a little bit fat.
Yeah, I definitely have a type. I'm pretty sure you didn't just gain the weight naturally.
No, they didn't. And now we have this
Dad,
at my door.
I sire the next generation of the family.
At best, you've created a handful of bastards. No insult intended, ladies. And I'm going to have to pay them all off. And what do? You spend all your days and all your nights off drinking, playing. You've got no interest whatsoever in the business. So, what am I to do with you?
What do you mean what you're doing with me? I'm learning. I'm spinning tales and reading.
If you'd shown any inclination to learn at all, it would be a different matter. But you have not. Instead, you waste your time playing the ukulele or whatever the fuck it is that you do.
It is a lute. It was a fine import.
First, I want you to apologize to these young ladies, whose names you probably can't even remember.
My dear madams, you have my apologies. And please accept my dad's extra tip. Wink.
Is that the best you can muster, Bodhi?
Well, what do you expect? You asked me to apologize. They had a good time, obviously. I had a great time, even more obviously. And really, what did you want me to do?
He smashes his fist down on his desk and gets up, orders the girls out. One of the many servants of your household appears to usher them away and gently closes the door. Bodhi, I have had enough of your irresponsible behavior. You've drunk as much in a single night as we pay the servants for a week on multiple occasions. This is not the first time I've had to tidy up your indiscretions. And as a city that had been closed off for so many years, gossip is the national pastime. So what am I to do with you? You have completely disgraced the family name.
That's only by your thoughts. I, however, disagree.
And I'm the head of the household. And while you live under my roof, you will obey my rules, except you don't. So you leave me no choice but to cast you out. You will no longer stay under my roof. You can live out there by your own rules, without my support and without my gold.
Fine. I'll go and get my things.
Yes, go
And
and
you
get
shall
your
be
things.
sire. You shall be sorry, sire.
Your brother has always shown more interest in the family's doings, and I
What,
have
the
a few
meathead?
more years to beat
You
him
mean-
into shape.
You mean the meathead who can't even pick 2 + 2 is a thing? You gotta
Still
be kidding
better
me.
than you. The best you can do is add up what you owe the bar and get out and take your things with you.
As I stomp off into my room, I'm going to grab a couple of my books and journals and stuff like that. And
Okay.
what do I do next? The bar.
Well, the panic sets in. The idea of being poor is not something that sits well with you at all.
No, it does not.
As you're grabbing your books and journals, you remember the old family legend about a winter house out in what is now dangerous jungles, where the family hoarded much of its wealth in the past. So far as you know, no one in the family ever went there to collect it. There might be something there, surely, enough to set yourself up independently.
I am totally yoink. Read this for later.
Yeah, with the servants keeping out of your way, disruption in the household and pain and emotional turmoil, they kind of fade away into the background. So you have no trouble collecting your things into your travel bag and snaffling one of the family journals about the winter house as well.
Okay. I'm going to wait till I actually leave the building to get outside and kind of quickly peruse through it and see if I can go find my 2 mates.
Okay. As you're sort of heading down the steps and leaving the estate, the cook, a matronly, older dwarven woman, comes rushing out, her beard stained with tears, and hands you like a wrapped up Goodwill package in brown paper.
You've always been the kindest to me.
Oh, Mr. Bodie, at least you won't go hungry tonight. Okay, so heading to the pub and leafing through the journal now and again. On
Yeah,
your way?
I'm going to be leafing through it, heading to the pub, and composing my woes to try to sing a song or tell a poem or something. I got to make money somehow. I either got to shake it or say it.
The hustle life.
The journal's pretty promising. I mean, the landscape has changed a lot, but if let me look at the map here, you could either charter a boat or follow the river north. The winter house should be on the jungle bank of the Serpent River, not far from Katenshin, which is another city, but nowhere near as big as Traver, which I will have to look up in a minute. So,
how much funds do I actually have in my pocket? Am I broke or that's on the sheet, isn't it?
Should be.
Okay, yeah, I see it. What is the ratios for the game world?
Let me. Okay, so you've currently got what, 5 silver coins on you?
Yeah, 5 silver.
Um,
Was it like standard D20, platinum, gold, silver?
Kinda. I think there's some odder ideas about how much things cost. Got to be able to find it. It's a rather densely packed book of the old school. Equipment 31. Nope, that's not actually the equipment. That's telling you equip your character. Goods and services. There we go. Money can be exchanged for goods and services. So the standard coin is silver rather than gold.
Okay.
So something like a dagger, which is probably a good sort of gauge, is 8 copper pieces, and it's the usual 10 by 10 by 10. So nearly one gold for a dagger. Oh, sorry, 1 silver for a dagger. Gives you some idea.
Okay. So I would probably be confident what I have could buy me at least passage. I don't know about my compatriots, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fairly civilized area between here and Katenshin, so yeah, it shouldn't cost you too much, provided you're willing to.
Okay. Because like hell I'm walking. I'd rather take a boat.
That's for peasants.
Yes.
All right. So Beth and Ella, you see Bodhi come in. He's got that look on his face that suggests that he's been in a fight with his dad again.
Now, usually, this is a sign that he is, as far as Ella is concerned, this is a sign that he is morose and likely, therefore, to spring for more booze. So she lights upon this immediately with glee, screeching from the top of her lungs, flying across the heads of the patrons. Oh, here comes Bodhi Traverin, cock like the Pink Panther's tail and a capacious purse to match. I'm sure he'll buy us all one now, lads. Come on, Bodhi, this way.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Everyone, may I have your attention?
You've got quite a commanding presence, so yeah, much of the bar, at least on this level, goes quiet and turns in your direction.
Except for Ella sotto voce, who's already reached the bar and is ordering on everybody's behalf and hasn't noticed the quiet yet.
I have a bit of sad news and a bit of great news. And he'll begin strumming his lute. What for we yearn? My father's wealth I did burn, and everything that he saw, he told me that I'm cut off from it all. And he begins to go into a rendition close to Burn the Witcher Burn. Can I roll, or do you want me to? Was that good enough?
That's good enough. Yeah,
All right.
people are into it, except one dwarf puffing on a cigar who lifts up his lighter, says "Free bird."
But the good news is there is always hope. Where there's a will, there's a way, and a wanting.
And it doesn't seem like word you've been cut off has spread to the bar yet, because Ella is ordering a ton of drinks, and the barkeep is doling them all out on the bar top and making notes in a clay tablet in rapid cuneiform.
Yes, my dear. Add it to his tab. And now she's scouting up and down the bar looking for some likely trollop.
Speaking of which, hold on. I'll put my hat out and be like, tips are generously welcome, as he goes around and tries to do that.
Yeah, you get a few copper coins, a button, one silver coin, somewhat tarnished.
I'm gonna stamp over to Ella. Excuse me. No. Can't afford it now. Shh. Cannot afford it now.
What? Yes, that one too. Yes, one of those. One of those. So you were saying? Yes, go on.
I'm broke.
The barkeep stops mid-pour and just turns and looks at you with the drink still pouring into the cup until it overflows and runs down the bar. What?
Ella's wings momentarily stop beating and she drops kind of 6 inches towards the bar, which she's been hovering above before recovering herself. You're what?
I'm broke. I just
You're
did a
what?
performance. I'm broke. No more coin, no more luxury, no more daddy.
Bode, are you sure? Are you sure it's not just like something that'll pass in like a couple days?
No, I kinda might have some bastards on the way.
Okay, yeah, that could do it.
Yeah. More than a few. Probably more than he actually knows, honestly, but you know, who's really caring?
For the God's sake, what did I get you that sheepskin for?
It doesn't feel right sometimes, you know?
How much knowledge then do you have of where your dad keeps everything? I mean, obviously you're gonna have to bail, and if you're gonna bail, then we might as well grab what we can.
Actually, I have something better. Something that is owed to my family.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, we need to step out and get into more private quarters. But at least maybe I can try to entertain these people to pay off the debt that Ella seems to wrapped up in our name. My name.
The barkeep has been listening in now that the shock has subsided somewhat. Says, so you're cut off and you're skint, but you know a way to get some money which might cover the cost of your tab, amongst other things, right?
It depends on the actual cost of my tab, sir. And I need to see a bill this time.
Well, the sages are still working on the advanced mathematics necessary to fully calculate your tab, but it's definitely going to be quite substantial. But if you require somewhere private to figure out your scheme to pay me back, I can give you a private room to discuss it.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I do really like him. He pours the drinks very well. He also hears everybody's secrets. So, I mean,
This is true, but people don't usually come into the bar and sing their secrets, so you might be getting a slightly, imprecise view of exactly how much I hear. But here's a key: second floor.
I'll pick up Ella because I think she's in shock right now. It's okay. We won't be broke for long. I have an idea.
I don't want to be broke at all.
He's cupping you. He's cupping you in his hands. Shh.
It's okay.
Hopping up the stairs.
Okay, so you have access to this private room. There's like 3 chaises long arranged in it around a shuttered window with slats in it to let the air circulate. There's a couple of ferns hanging from the ceiling in planters, and a somewhat faded and scuffed mosaic on the floor depicting lightning in all directions. Blue stone picked out on darker stone.
There's chairs and tables and stuff like that too.
There's a low coffee table, and there's cushions if you want to sit on the floor around the table.
All right. Slightly out of embarrassment, he's gonna like grind the table to the center of the room with that. Oops. And pull out put down the journal, and I said, "My friends, in here might be our saving grace, my pied de resistance, my opus to giving my father the finger until his end of his days."
now before you do that though, I want to put my finger on his lips. Can I check the room to make sure there's nothing like that is
Yep.
listening in or people or
Yes, you can check around. So let me see. So that'll be a search roll. So your skill level is 7, which means you roll 1 12-sided dice.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. Let's get all these guys away. This is definitely not the ideal. This is so loud. A 5. So it's not a 1.
Yeah. And you did say you were specifically looking for peepholes, so I will reduce the difficulty a bit. So with that considered, difficulty 4, and you rolled a 5, which is an average success. You do find a small peephole in one of the wall mosaics, which depicts a rather smug-looking dragon. But in the pupil of its eye is a little hole through which you can see someone's real eye peeping.
Can I just poke it?
You'll need something long and thin if you actually want to poke them in the eye.
Can't my nail count?
Oh, all right.
I'm
You
a
go,
sexy
"Eh."
cat burglar. I can do the ghost face one.
You hear a muffled ow, and then whatever it was that was peeping through the hole, they've closed it off. So it's just a dark space now. They've gone.
Okay, we potentially should be good now. There was something peeping. Hopefully they don't peep anymore.
Ella hasn't noticed any of this she lays down on one of the chaise longues, like a sort of a Victoria, a picture of an overwhelmed Victorian lady, sort of forehead on her forearm, just.
I mean, the chaise compared to you is so completely enormous that it looks even more ridiculous.
Yeah,
swallowed up in the cushions.
Affords her the space to sort of roll around as if she's kind of in torment. Oh.
No.
We're poor. We're poor.
Oh, my little petite dear, do you want to wallow or do something about it? Please.
Oh, can I wallow for a bit more?
Well, the more we wallow, the less time we have, and perhaps the less treasure we might gain.
And she has one of these mercurial changes of temperament that you notice about her, which is to go from this sort of lackadaisical despair to really irritating upbeat positivity, and she sort of bounces, sitting cross-legged in midair. Yes, come on then, let's be about it. What's the plan, Bodhi? Wealth and riches await. Come
on. I'm going to open the book to certain sections and then kind of take a piece of writing utensil that I would have, and just kind of here. Just read. Don't speak. Here. Here. And then if I know the area right, it is not what it used to. I'm told that it might be very dense forest. Kind of really hot, swanky stank kind of forest. So my plan is, and then he'll flip to the end to see if he can find a little bit of page, and then he'll write the word boat, because to hell if I'm walking down by a river.
So, to briefly recap, Bodhi's family were rich centuries ago as well, before the whole apocalypse thing happened. The family retreated to the city, but they also had a winter house out close to the river in what is now the jungle of the Servos jungle, next to the Serpent River. So the jungle has doubtless spread and engulfed this winter house, but family scuttlebutt is that a huge amount of the family's wealth from before the Scourge, if I remember correctly, that's what it's called, was squirreled away there, against a less tentacly day. The family ended up not really needing it, and so has never funded an expedition to recover these old riches, because they made plenty of money as a merchant family anyway, exploiting the situation over those 5 centuries and since, striking up trade deals. So in theory, there should be a fairly hefty ransom in these ruins in the jungles.
How dangerous is the jungles, though?
Oh, don't worry about it. I'll start singing a version of Money, 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 Money.
Well, if your friend Valken and his hound were here, he would tell you they're very dangerous, but they're fine so long as you have a capable guide like me. But then Valken isn't here, so he can't tell you that. I mean, how hard can it be? He's a dwarf. He's got little legs, and he's explored it, so it must be easy.
Well, Ella, will you be willing to fly a little in front of us and check out, will you be our test steed to the jungle? Will you guide us? How are we going to get guided through this jungle?
Ella, at this point, she's just sort of, once Bodhi gets out of book, she loses all interest. And she's sort of been fluttering around the room, peering out of the windows, occasionally looking back and nodding as if she's paying attention, but you know her well enough to know she's not. So when you actually ask her directly a question, she says, "Huh? Oh, yes, probably."
Well,
I knew I could count
Ella
on you.
can lead us then. Bode, how well do you know this jungle? When was the last time you've been to this jungle?
Oh, I had never been to this jungle.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. But I have a book.
You have a book.
And it
How
has
hard could it
maps.
be?
Yeah.
You know,
What about a machete
maps?
or something? How?
Well, I mean, in lieu of our Dwarven friend, I believe that you take on the mantle of security. And he's going to try to give you like that, like, hey, come on. You know you want to come along face.
I'm like quiet. I need to be able to sneak through the jungle. I don't think I can sneak through the jungle very well without. I mean, I can try, but
Well, if you're quiet, you can show me how to be quiet. And for Ella, we might just put her in a pocket.
Jacket pocket or trouser pocket?
Trouser
know?
pocket. I play a mean game of pocket billiards, I'll have you know.
That's when we head back to the bar with the riches we'll make.
Foot messenger. Okay, so since I'm a foot messenger, I would say that I possibly at least kind of know routes. Or would I know somebody who could at least help me with like jungle supplies or jungle information as a foot messenger?
Do you have any money for jungle supplies?
Oh, let me look at my...
You're actually quite minted. You've still got 60 silver coins.
Okay, I was going to say, I think I have some coins. One's down here.
And
So, like, trying to
Ella
do,
still has 30 silver coins.
Hush,
I'm-
hush, hush, hush. We're keeping quiet about that.
half now.
So I'm
half will get
thinking
back.
windlings, being small, probably don't carry coin purses like over their shoulders like sacks. They probably have smaller coins made of gold of the equivalent value or something.
Write down my gear.
Pixie goat.
Just got nuggets.
We don't talk about that. The healer said they'd clear up in a week. So yes, you could buy some jungle supplies. You've all got adventurers kits anyway, which contain, useful things. So you're generally considered to have lanterns, rope, probably a small hatchet or something. But you could probably do with buying some hammocks, so you're not sleeping on the ground, because that's really important in jungles.
Yeah.
Otherwise you get covered in bugs.
Tree.
Yeah. And you could probably use some machetes for cutting your way through the jungle.
Yeah.
Well, see,
So-
that's my dear. You already know more than we need. Now let's go buy some stuff and try to see if we can get a better deal. I will roll haggling if I can.
Yes, and there are actual mechanics for that, so that's useful. Right, so let's see.
It's a 7, it says on my thingy. So,
So yeah, that'll be 7.
D12?
Yep.
Okay.
Difficulty. Let's have a look. Okay, so ordinary people can haggle, but it's going to be hard because this is a city of merchants. So difficulty 8.
Well, that wasn't a 1, but it was a 2.
But doesn't his name, like in his existence, just have its own like?
Yes, but that means all the shopkeepers will think, "Oh, he's rich. Let's gouge him,"
That's a
Yeah,
good point.
yeah.
which is kind of exactly what happens. So,
Look
Let me
sad,
just-
Bode. Look sad.
Actually, I will make the argument, but I am broke now. I can't. I need this stuff to not be broke, so that I can.
Oh,
pay
so you're really
quality.
desperate for this? Okay, you're just not in a haggling mind space. You're used to being rich and just sort of haggling for sport, and you can't really do that now.
Damn it.
Don't need any magical equipment. Let's see, adventuring equipment.
I mean, if he super rips you off, I can pickpocket him, maybe. Just saying.
Are you saying that out loud, or you're like,
No,
"Oh,
no.
you know the deal, right?"
Saying it is cool.
Bring, bring. Let me tell you a song and a story along.
All right, it's gonna cost you 67 silver pieces to get all of your jungle kit. So that's hammocks and machetes for everyone.
That is highway robbery.
Well, yeah, a gentleman like you appreciates the best quality goods. I mean, you wouldn't want to settle for an expedition into such dangerous places.
I mean, I could settle for another shop.
I think you'll find their prices are comparable, but their goods are not up to my quality. Me and Beth, we go way back, you know. Got you those running boots.
You did. We are a little, like we said, we're in a tight squeeze. But is there any way that you would let us pay like 2/3 now and 1/3 when we come back?
I'll let you pay 60 now, and you can pay me 10 when you get back.
You just added 3 extra silver.
Yeah, for the deferred payment, interest.
Bodhi's debating on whether or not how many people know that his dad cut him off yet. But then again, he's kind of kicking himself because he did say that earlier. How fast does word travel?
Or you can settle up the 67 now, and I'll throw in some bug repellent.
Ooh, I do like that.
Ella.
Ella has been spending this entire time buzzing around the shop, sort of try every single object made of glass, crystal. She's kind of picking it up, flicking it with her fingers, ding, 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 ding. Almost kind of hypnotized by it, just buzzing around. Yes, my dear.
They might be able to use your bit of help. 67 is a high price, but if we pay it now, we might get a little bit more. And these are the supplies we do kind of need. Looking at Beth, right? Yeah? Yeah. Come on, you can help. It'll be worth it. And I'll try to give Ella the smiling, winking, and crocodile smile.
Trade. It's so boring. And she just literally just upends her purse and just all the money she has, she just scatters across the counter. Doesn't even bother counting it. Take it out of that.
Okay, the shopkeeper gets out a jeweler's loop and a pair of tweezers and starts counting all the tiny fairy coins.
That's adorable. Oh my god.
I'm gonna need another 36 silver from somebody.
Okay, I can do that. I'll do the 36 silver for my.
Okay. So Ella is Brassic now,
4.
and Beth is down to 26 silver. And Bodhi somehow got away with paying nothing.
And Ella is now walking along the countertop, deliberately sashaying, over-exaggerating the swing of her hips. She walks up to Bodhi and she just sort of kisses him gently on the cheek. That's what I always like about you, darling. You came from trade, but you don't stink of it. Mwah.
You do me the best of honors, my petite, my tiny dear. Maybe I should call you Nuggets. What do you think about that? So sweet. And of course, I haven't paid anything because I brought the quest. I have the riches, and I have the face of the group.
Okay, so you add your machetes and your hammocks to your packs and strap them on. So now you need to book passage.
That I will kind of look sadly at it and hand it over to Beth. That's 5 silver pieces.
You need 5 more from me?
No, I'm giving you what I have to try to help pay for our passage.
Thank you.
Unless you want to walk down the river.
No.
I don't.
No, I don't know what's in the water. At least I'm quiet on land.
Oh, where's Ella, anyways? Where are you at? You flying?
She's sort of lazily buzzing along on your shoulder. Mm-hmm. And at this point, it's quite clear that she's just decided that somebody else is going to arrange this, and she's just sort of following along, just doing her usual thing of assuming that practical things are going to happen.
Oh, most definitely. Maybe just in case they try to charge for you, you just hop in my pocket here, my coat pocket.
You do know she's like the size of an Action Man, right? A bit taller than an Action Man. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not rich anymore, so you don't have deep pockets.
Just don't tickle me. But I still do have my dad's clothing that he did give me because it was mine. Ruffles and frills.
All right.
No, she's not going to be constrained in a dark place. No, that's not going to happen.
It's not like you take up much space anyway. All right. So you make your way out through the eastern gate of the city down towards the docks. A big sort of tent city has sprung up here with refugees from areas that the Theran Empire has invaded. And Katenshin has sided with the Theran Empire, which was a big, powerful force before the Scourge, that's trying to make a resurgence. But Travar, being arrogant and mercantile, is so far willing to trade with anyone, so it shouldn't cause too much trouble. But you've gone from the palatial wealth inside the city to basically an open sewer and refugee camp between the city and the docks. The docks themselves are well defended, partially walled off from the tent city that surrounds them. But yeah, you're tracked by lovable street urchins all the way, who probably make attempts to pick your pocket, but not any serious attempts, and try to sell you various things, shiny rocks, family members, street food, that sort of thing. But unless you want to...
I'll strum the lute to entertain them and try to make them a bit happier than what their miserable lives look like.
yeah, maybe a little bit of joy, but food would go a lot further than music. But you get to the docks and pass by the guards. They recognize a member of such an auspicious merchant family, so they let you through without any problem. Beyond the gatehouse for the docks, there are several piers leading out onto the big, broad, slow-moving river, and plenty of barges and shallow draft sailing vessels laden with goods to be taken to and from various places on the river.
Okay.
As we walked through there, was there anybody that just looked stupidly easy to pickpocket?
They wouldn't really have much. Or do you mean in the docks, the richer people?
How about a guard while I'm strumming the lute? Let me make this check of how great I am at being a musician.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay, so I believe that's a D12 again, if I'm reading things correctly. Yeah. 7 is
artisan musician. And you could use that as your half magic, which means you could spend karma if you want.
Ooh.
But otherwise, just roll that D12.
Do I want to? No, I'm not. I want to spend karma on this one. Haha! 11. Not a 12, but
nice.
11.
Ooh.
Okay, and that's going to be an average difficulty of 5. So if we read across on column 5, that's an excellent success. So yes.
Ooh.
I am a fantastic and wonderful distraction. See, it's all in the face.
All right. So as he's playing, there's a couple of guards sort of wandering around, keeping the peace. One of them does seem to have a nice, heavy purse of coins on his belt that you should be able to pilfer.
Yeah, I'll try to do that while he's distracted then.
Okay, so let's see. It's going to be pretty hard to steal from a guard because their job is guarding, but he's distracted, so we'll drop the difficulty a bit. So difficulty 6.
Okay. And I rolled a 12.
Well, what's your skill? Picking pockets 9. So if we look at the chart, that's a D8 and a D6 that you roll.
Okay. D6. Yes. Okay.
Remember, if you roll the maximum, you get to roll another dice of the same kind and add it on.
Oh shit! I got a 4 and a 1. Are they added together?
So that's a 5 total against difficulty of 6. So that's a poor success. Okay, so going past him, you try to get a decent hold on his purse, but you can't quite get the straps. You just manage to pilfer like a couple of coins.
Hey, that's okay. As long as I don't, pull it and distract him. I mean, I could just make it like I was touching his butt, but... Oh, so sorry. Your booty is just so beautiful.
I would actually want to try something. It was like I would kind of see her kind of doing her shanse, whatever, sachet. I'm like, I'm going to try to actually impress this guard specifically with my music. Am I able to actually use the impress skill?
Cool.
Try to get you a second chance there. And then, like, if you look at me, I'll look like I'm winking to him, but that wink is for you.
Yeah. Like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And that's a karma skill, so you can spend karma on it if you want.
8 is 2d6, which is much better than 12. Oh, Ella, you want to help out at all? Shake your booty to the music.
She's kind of buzzing around. She probably hasn't noticed any of this. She might be marginally curious as to why you're trying to entertain this bunch of ghastly people, but if asked directly, she'll sort of look around. Yeah. And she will begin an elaborate sort of flying display over the heads of these guards. I don't know how
Okay.
commonplace fairies are, flying fairies are in this world, but
Reasonably commonplace, but not as common as some of the other species.
yes,
But aerobatics is probably quite interesting.
aerobatics.
What did you?
And I should just add that I'm not wearing any leggings.
Okay.
There you go.
So what did Bodhi get for his impress roll?
4 and 2, which is a total of 6.
Okay, so that's an average success. That's enough. That gives Beth, combined with Ella's aerobatics, a little bit more of a chance to pilfer. You just managed to scoop a few coins off the top of the purse. So you got a gold coin and 5 silver coins. That's a total of 15 silver. Someone's been taking some hefty bribes, it would seem. Right, but there are many boats you could book passage on. Are you looking for something smaller, less ostentatious, or are you looking for something you can sail on in comfort?
Ella still hasn't quite grasped their financial situation, and she's just going to avoid any boat that smells of fish or tar or work.
Sweat.
Yeah.
There's a cloth merchant who's loading up with a sort of processed cloth from Travar's mills and weaveries. He seems to be fairly wealthy. His guards seem well equipped and clean, and the smell of the freshly made cloth is actually quite nice.
There you go. You see, Bodhi? It's perfect.
Yeah. It looks like it. What do you think, Beth?
I mean, let's see how much it is first before we decide this is how we're going to passage.
Ella's already flying across presumably there's like a gangplank or something, right? And they're loading up on a dock. So she kind of just hovers over the deck. She doesn't land, but she calls over her shoulder, "Pay the man, Beth, my dear. Pay the man."
The captain hears your voice and then looks up and moves over from his conversation with the actual merchant owner. What's this? This is a working ship. Get off.
Could we possibly jump on and pay our way for a little passage? Is that a possibility by any chance?
You just want to travel with us? How many in your party?
3.
Well, 2.2.
But first, are you going? And he's going to pull out a map. Anywhere near this area?
Well, we're going as far as Kitenshin. We can go a little further, drop you off on the bank. Don't know how you feel about the Therans. Or Therans. It's probably Therans, to be fair.
If you can get us that close, I think it should be fine. First, how much, and then would you like to elaborate on what you mean on the Therans? Trying to use his guile to charm him a bit.
Well, he's fairly willing to talk about that subject. Yeah, the Theran Empire, their machinations are going on everywhere. There's fighting here and there, but Travar holds itself above these sort of things for the most part, so you shouldn't have to worry too much. But some people don't like them. So, it's perfectly understandable. Their silver spends the same as anyone else's. But yeah, we're happy to give you passage that far. Say, well, do you have your own food, or would you want us to supply you?
I mean, I wouldn't say no if you gave us room and board.
And are you willing to help out with any of the duties on ship?
I can inspire the morale of your men, and I'm more than willing to tell a few tales and spin a couple of tunes. Bring, bring. Again, shine, twinkly teeth.
I'll definitely help.
probably make a good lookout.
Okay, I like that. There we go.
Ella! Ella!
Now, see, as soon as this didn't turn into a fist fight, she's just assumed everything's going her way, so she's just already making herself at home. Oh, we're off already, are we?
Are you going to help the crew with their duties?
An enormous wrinkle of her nose and of disgust. She's just like, no.
Anyways, how much?
Well, I guess the little one's not going to be eating and drinking too much, so it's not too much of a burden that she won't help with the work. Let's call it 7 coins for passage for all of you. 1 way, of course.
7 coins. I like the sound of 5. And that's damn it, 4 on haggling.
5. He thinks for a moment and then opens his own purse and takes out 5 coins. So chink, 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 chink. Adds a couple. Chink, 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 chink. No, I like the sound of 7 more.
He's going to look over at Beth. Well,
We're going to have a way there, but we're not going to have a way back, Bode.
no, it's totally there. We'll totally be fine. We just have to get there. That's the problem, you know? Just worry about getting there first.
I'm only trusting you because I'm really enjoyed my life the last 6 months. I'm going to hand over. I have 29 coins left. Let me hand over that 28. Is it 20? Yeah, right? Wait. No, I'm thinking of 4. Okay, 21.
You had 24, then we added 15, so that would
Bye-bye.
be 39. Now minus 7, so you're down to 32 coins.
Okay.
So yeah, you're doing all right. All right. He smiles, takes the coins. You'll have to bed in the hold with the crew. The cabins are reserved for myself and the merchant, but it won't take us too long to get there. Just make yourself useful or stay out of the way as we finish loading up. All right, unless you've got any sudden brainstorms of anything else you want to steal, buy, borrow.
We don't need to play this out, but I will attempt to seduce the merchant to make sure I'm in his cabin the whole way there.
Do you want to make a seduction roll then?
If you want to do it mechanically, I'm absolutely fine to do that. Yes.
Yeah, just to see. There are certain.
Okay, so that is 10, which what did we establish 10 was? Let's have a look. 10 is 2d8. Okay.
And it looks like you do get your dwarf guide after all. In the nick of time.
Yes.
Hey, everybody.
And that's an 8, so that's exploding. So that is 8, 5, 13, 19.
19. Okay. He's probably going to be unable to resist your charms. It's not going to be hard to seduce him, but there are certain physical incompatibilities which might raise the difficulty a little. So difficulty 8, but you got 19?
I did.
Okay. So if we read across, that's not quite an extraordinary success, but it is an excellent success. Yes, he's happy to take you into his cabin. Whereupon you're fed the sweetest of treats, honey cakes, and so on. Makes a new dress for you out of the finest silk from the hold. Treats you like royalty.
Of course.
Yes.
I will want to be entertaining the crew as best as possible with, knowledge of tales and stories from reading over books and lore and just spinning complete bullshit. Anything I can do to muster their morale to be happy. And as I begin to strum, Val! Oh my God, my friend, come. I need you. I really need you here, buddy. Come here. Come here, you stubby little great bearded bastard. I miss you.
Uh,
How much of
I-
a catch up do you need?
all of it.
Okay. You're a bunch of reprobates that hang out together and drink Bodhi's father's money most of the time. Bodhi got 3 girls, sisters, all pregnant, so his father disowned him. But Bodhi thinks that there is a stash of family gold from before the magical apocalypse hidden in what was his family's winter house in the jungles. So going there to get that to retain his independent wealth, pay off the bar tab, and keep you all in the manner to which you've become accustomed.
Well, loves me drink, loves me dog. Simple as. I'll do
Simple
it.
as. Right, and you were just currently booking passage on a riverboat to sail into the jungle, which you know your way around because you've been there before. Servos jungle. And that's just what you were doing there. Okay.
What's the dog called?
Nuklov, the war dog.
Okay. I just paint a little bit of background here that Ella and that dog hate each other.
Nice to be nice to my dog.
I'm pretty confident Bodhi and Nucky get. Come here, boy. I missed you, you big fluffy scruffy.
He's probably like some enormous mastiff.
One of those Tibetan.
Yeah, like one of those Tibetan dogs, but probably with floppy cheeks.
Gonna have
That-
to pay for your board on the boat. Some things are dicey right now, my friend.
All right. What do you need me to do?
Pay for yourself and the dog.
Let's see if he has any money.
19 silver.
Okay, so we'll knock 3 off that, and you can pay for your own passage.
Hell yeah.
Though the ship's cat is not impressed by your dog. Right, passage on the river is pretty uneventful, apart from whatever is going on with Ella in the merchant's cabin. But there is no lube in the world that is going to make that happen.
I'm going by her name, and I'm suggesting there's some serious foot action going on here.
Excellent hover control. Right. So the ship stops at Katinchen, unloads most of its goods, takes on some other materials. I haven't bothered to read up on that city, so I don't know what they deal in. Probably jungle goods, so wood, fruit, that sort of thing. Then the ship's captain takes the boat further north to where the Byrose River joins the Serpent River properly, which runs from east to west. So the sails have to be unfurled fully, and you have to struggle against the current for some distance. But then they weigh anchor close to the side of the river, where the bank is shallow and long, and you're able to disembark. But you're basically in the middle of nowhere because a lot of the land has not been resettled since the Scourge yet. So yeah, you're far from the Katinchen logging camps. With the river, there'll be some river traffic, so if you need help, you might be able to flag down a passing boat or something. But on this bank, the deep dark, wild, and foreboding mass of the jungle awaits you.
You sure this is it? Looking at the captain as he's telling us to leave the ship.
This is as close as I can get you to where you wanted.
Val, you know what you're doing, right? You strong. Over the course, I would have tossed you the journal to see all the notes about the family wealth and jewels and on the quest, and I lost Daddy's riches, so we can't drink until we go do this thing.
Is the house down the river?
It's supposed to be close to the river, somewhere on this stretch of shore, but back in the jungle. If you want to try and pin down more precisely where it is, that's going to be either a wilderness survival roll or a knowledge Servos jungle roll. Your wilderness survival is higher. I will give you a bonus of +2, which will take that to a step of 11, which means you roll a d10 and a d8. If you roll the maximum on either dice, you can add another dice of the same type and roll it.
So it's a 15 total with my wilderness survival.
Okay, so what difficulty do we want for that? So you got 15, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, against a difficulty of 10. So 15 is an average success. Well, you can't be 100% certain. There'll probably be a lot of double backing and difficulties of getting through the jungle because the jungle is so utterly changeable. But you think you can get you all to the site where the winter house used to be.
We need a tree. Bodhi, anyone got an axe?
Actually, we got a lot of supplies and stuff like that. Cost a pretty bit. Here.
Thinking we build a raft.
Well, you want to narrow it down, or find some rivulets or something that go off the river and get you closer.
I was going to use my wood carving to see if I could build us a raft, travel down the river.
See, Nookie, this is why Bal's my best friend. Out of everyone here, always knows what to do.
All right, so let's see. Wood carving, your skill total is 6. I'm presuming that the rest of you are going to help, apart from Ella, who doesn't ever help anyone.
I just realized from writing all these down, I have knowledge of ruins. Does that mean that I know anything about the jungle?
Might be useful when you get to the actual ruins, but not yet. Okay, so 7, 8. Building a raft. How difficult could that be? Let's call it 3. Okay, roll. How's the chart gone? Roll 2d6. What'd you get?
11.
11. So one of those was a 6.
No, a 3 and a 2 and a 6 on the stat. Charisma?
No. So what you do is you just add the total up. So your total is 6. Yeah.
My total on the dice is 5.
Okay. So 2d6, 5 against difficulty 3. You've put together a fairly ramshackle raft. You didn't really need to cut any trees down. There's plenty of fallen wood around and quite a few logs that have washed up on the shore anyway. So you can lash those together with a few vines, trim them off so it's a bit more square. But yeah, you've got a half decent raft that you can now row up and down the river. So that can get you a bit closer to your goal. You find a narrow river that runs through a sort of jungle swamp deeper into the jungle. And if Valken has his reckoning right, if you follow this in, that should get you even closer to the ruin.
As it's getting more and more serious that I am actually poor, the bow is coming out, and I am like dodging gnats.
You did get that anti-bug salve. If you want to,
That's right, Beth. I love you. Mwah!
Oh, yeah, we did.
Ella, the gnats and mosquitoes don't bother Ella at all because they constantly mistake her for a dragonfly and are terrified and keep away from her.
That's fun.
Val will be caking the bug spray or the bug goop onto his face.
Yeah, the
Very
small bit
apocalypse
of your
now.
face that isn't beard.
It's like the suntan nose with like just lotion. You don't see the nose, just lotion.
All right. So as you take this little rivulet deeper into the jungle, you actually have the flow of water helping you now instead of having to fight it. It's pretty shallow though. You keep scraping against rocks under the water, and it gets shallower and narrower as you go along. Twisted trees that somewhat resemble mangrove trees are at the edge of the swampy section. Before too long, it's more like you're trying to row or slide across mud rather than make your way through water. And the jungle gets closer and darker, and the canopy of trees closes over above you as the little rivulet narrows. Pretty soon, you can't take the raft any further, and we'll have to leave it behind.
I can guide us from here.
I will hand you the map while Nat goes, zip. God damn it. Here. Yeah.
Okay. So you stop for a moment, get your reckoning in whatever ways someone who is familiar with the jungle can, and you're fairly sure you know the direction to go. You're all gonna, well, apart from Ella, you're all gonna have to wade through some mud first, though.
Oh, fun.
Val will just be trudging ahead, unbothered, in his element.
I'm gonna try to step where Ella's, not Ella, but where Beth is stepping. 'Cause I'm pretty sure she's probably gonna be lighter than I am. So definitely
Okay.
not behind Val because Val's probably gonna like
Right
sink.
through it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no grace at all. Just
Yeah.
brute force.
It's a heavy fella. Right. So
And I don't want to get dirty.
guessing Valken and Nuklav are on point then. So let's see. There isn't an alertness skill, is there? It's just perception.
I will have my crossbow at the ready.
Okay. One moment. New system. That's part of the appeal. We don't really know how anything works, so we figure it out.
I have pumpkin slippers on. They make me so happy. They match my pumpkin pillow.
Did they make you stealthier though?
Yes. But I already walk really quiet, so I like creep up on people on accident all the time.
Can blend into a pumpkin patch.
Okay.
Pumpkin patch is a must.
So, for you and the pupper, can you roll a d10 once for each of you, please, for Valken and Nuklav?
Nuklov gets a 10 on the die. Valken gets a 5.
Okay, so for the dog, roll another d10 and add it on.
15.
Okay. And you got 5, was it?
Yes.
All right. So yeah, you're sort of blazing a trail ahead of everyone else, hacking through the underbrush with a machete. Nuklav sort of looks like he's been dipped in a chocolate fountain. So there's like mud halfway up him all the way along, and wet fur hanging down. He's having the time of his life. But he stops abruptly, sniffs the air, and gives a warning growl.
I level my crossbow and raise my left hand, just warning everyone.
Yeah, the longbow's knocked, and I'm holding, ready to fire.
Yeah, I guess I got a throwing knife.
The trees are darker and more twisted ahead. There's less undergrowth, but you have to pass. But the quickest route, you think, to get where you need to go is to pass directly through this area.
Psst, Ella! Psst, Ella!
Ella's buzzing around above you, whistling, singing merrily to herself. You're so shitty. I'm so pretty, so witty and gay.
Get your head out of the clouds right now. I need you to pay attention.
Yes, my dear.
Would you rather be broke and dead, or how about rich and alive?
She considers this for a moment. Yes. Rich sounds good. Yes.
Okay. I need
What's
you
the
to...
dog growling at?
That's what we're trying to figure out. Shh. Maybe you could help us look? As he's like holding the damn knocked bow, like, do a thing.
Well,
You
we're
said
trouble
you
is
do the thing. Do the damn thing.
we're sort of we're sort of constrained by the overhead foliage, though, right? I mean, I don't imagine she's got any more sight than anybody else in this scenario.
But you are small and could scout ahead without touching the ground.
That is true. So yes, I will do so.
Okay. Okay.
And I
Can
don't know.
you roll a d10 for me, please?
Certainly. That is an 8.
Okay. All right. So you go ahead slightly, staying as high as you can, little wings flapping and thrumming behind you as you dart around through the trees. Other than it being a lot darker and nastier, smelling a bit, and there being a lot of cobwebs strung between the trees and the nests of spiders here and there. You don't spot anything major or particularly troublesome, at least not immediately. How deep do you want to go?
I don't. Well, it doesn't really matter because our lines of sight are pretty poor, aren't they? Frankly. So I'm going to go for height rather than linear distance. So I'm going to go higher, but staying more or less directly above these guys to try and get a slightly better sense of the wider area.
So the lack of ground clutter, because the foliage lower down isn't growing so much here. It lets you see a bit further down at that level, especially with a bit of elevation. But there are still a lot of these black twisted trees growing up everywhere, and curtains of vines, and these masses of white spider webs between the branches, which you stay well clear of. But you do see a couple of hints. There do seem to be piles of stone overgrown with dark purplish moss, and some of those stones seem to have been carved in some way, which does suggest that you're getting closer. Maybe there used to be a road here at some point.
So a quick world building question. Spiders obviously have different kind of connotations in different fantasy worlds. What is their natural?
So there are normal sized spiders, there are giant spiders, and there are demons that look like spiders that were left behind after the scourge.
Okay. Do these webs seem sufficiently large to fall into the second category?
The webs that you can see at the moment seem to be webs built by colonial spiders. So there's these little colonies of spiders in various trees, but they're no bigger than tarantulas.
Okay, and I have astral sight.
Yes, so you can see into the spirit world slightly, I think. This is a very darkly spiritual area that has been tainted by the scourge. So through your astral sight, the shadows seem longer, the webs seem thicker. Looking at the trees and the plants that are here, they're tainted and cancerous through your astral vision.
Okay, I flutter back down. Relay some of this, spider colonies, etc., etc. But Valken, my dear, why don't you send the dog in? I'm sure he'll sniff out anything unpleasant.
Are you sure?
She side-eyes the dog, which all of you know she hates. Oh, yes, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Knucklove, I look to the dog. Does he look cautious, or does he look just happy still?
He looks kind of derpy because he's a dog, but on alert. His ears are twitching constantly in all directions.
Knucklove, check it out, boy.
Right. He seems a little reluctant, but starts scouting ahead, sniffing around at the trees.
Tell him the first sign of trouble, head back.
Can you roll a d10, please, for the pup?
10 again.
So roll again and add on.
13 total.
Okay. You follow him for maybe 15, 20 minutes. You're making much faster going here due to the lack of undergrowth. This purplish moss is everywhere and a thick carpet. And it kind of gives away almost like a crust under your feet. It's a couple of inches deep of dead moss with new moss growing on top of it. But the spider webs get thicker and seem to be bigger, and they're trailing in great big loops from the trees. And occasionally, where a little bit of light gets in through the treetops, you can see webs that you couldn't normally see, sort of glistening in great big spreads all across the ground and up the trees. And looking behind you, you can see a sort of trail of devastation where you've cut through these webs without even noticing. But he stopped abruptly, and as you get closer, the shift in light makes it apparent that there's a quite large strand of web descending from the trees above him. And he's stopping and looking up and is barking at it.
Oh no.
When I hear him barking, I dart in after. I shoot a glance to Ella, a surly dwarven glance, and then I rush in.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going in behind just to make sure I have line of sight of Val, because if Val's gone, I don't know what else we will do here, and he's the only one that seems to be very comfortable with these surroundings. So, like I said, arrow's still knocked. I'm following after to keep an eye on both.
Milklove stares up into the treetops and continues to bark. Well, he's a huge dog, so it's probably more of a boff than a woof. Woof.
Somebody a fire? Burn it down. Burn it down.
I don't want to burn the entire forest. Is it? It's a jungle, so it wouldn't.
The jungle,
go up.
so it's pretty
Yeah,
pretty
probably-
wet. Yeah, moist is a good word.
Giant spiders and demon spider vibes? I don't know.
I have a ability thermal vision. Is that helping me out here at all? Like the
Oh,
predator?
actually, yeah.
So you can switch it on and off, that ability. I don't know how it's meant to work in the reality of the game, but according to the rules, you can switch between normal vision and thermal vision. I guess like a predator switching between modes on his mask. I don't know. Do you want to switch to thermal vision?
Yes.
Okay. Your dog looks fairly cold because the mud is sort of caked and hidden him. Ella is pretty sort of brightly glowing in color because all of her constant motion and movement. She's probably got a heartbeat like a shrew. You don't see much in the way of heat dots or anything around. In fact, this whole section seems colder than the surrounding jungle. Yeah, it's a lot that's of ambient temperature. So you guys all look very bright compared to everything else that's around. Nothing else seems to be particularly warm.
I will turn my thermal vision back off.
It's blink a couple of times and switch back to normal vision.
What is low light vision?
So yeah, you're able to see better in this shade underneath the canopy. So with you looking up and around, you can see quite large cocoons hanging from the topmost branches. And one of them seems to be sort of slipping and descending as if it's being let down on a rope. You remember watching the men loading and unloading the cargo from the ship using pulley systems and so on. It reminds you of that.
There's a cocoon coming down. I want to say like quietly, but like at least I want to say it was at least like behind all of them following. Is anybody directly under the cocoon?
No, it should hit the ground a short distance away from you when it hits.
Okay.
And it's not being dropped, it's being lowered.
Okay. Being lowered down. That's even scarier though.
And how high is it off the ground currently?
It is maybe 30 meters up, but now it's getting closer and closer.
So 30. So, and is there such a thing as falling damage in this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to fly up and cut it now, so it drops.
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna throw knife.
Right,
Gave me a bolt.
you draw your windling blade and fly up to meet this slowly descending cocoon and slash through it. It plummets and tumbles over and over and lands with a crash on the forest floor, not that far away from the rest of you. And it breaks open, and a desiccated corpse sort of half spills out of the cocoon. It's all pinched and drawn like it's been mummified, wearing clothes that Bodhi would be able to tell like a couple of years out of style. From his dress and his armor, you think maybe he was a merchant caravan guard, something like that.
Well, that's lovely. 1 second.
I was expecting a
he
bunch
was so
of
10
spiders.
years ago.
What?
He was so 10 years ago and dressed.
Yeah, that's what bothers you.
Anything in his pockets?
Okay, so Falcon approaches the corpse. As you get close to it, there's a creaking noise, and it abruptly sits up out of the cocoon with a cloud of dust and spores.
Shoot it in the head.
Okay. Right, combat then. Let's find my notes on combat. Right, so find your initiative. Read that off on the step and roll that in dice for your initiative.
That's a 10 on the die on a D10.
Just remember it for the moment, and I'll ask you in a sec. Okay. So what's Bodhi's initiative?
The first one I rolled a 10 on it, and then I rolled the second 10 was 2, so a total of 12.
Okay. Bodhi 12. What did Ella get for initiative?
So step 7, rolling 1d12, and I rolled an 8.
Okay. Valken. What did you roll for initiative? You're muted.
Yep. Rolled a 7.
Okay. And what were you rolling? A D8, I guess.
A D10.
Oh, D10. Okay.
Unless I misread.
And Ghoul, what did Beth get for initiative?
I am so confused. So wait, do I so my initiative is 7 on the paper, but do I roll a d10?
Okay.
D12.
So
if it's a 7, you're
if
rolling a
if
D12.
it's a 7, you roll a D12. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It is confusing.
Yeah, numbers confuse me a lot. Oh Jesus, which one is that? Okay, wait, this is just a dot, and this is why these are my dice and not nobody else's, and that's a fucking 1. I rolled a 1.
Okay. Right.
Oh, I was writing down
Okay, so we'll let Valken take his action first because he was ready and did immediately say what he was doing, which kicked off the combat. So the difficulty to hit the corpse is where's his physical defense? Okay, so it's difficulty 6. Your attack skill is it'd be your crossbow skill if there is one, or ranged attack. I think it's ranged attack. Missile weapons. That's what it is. Which is 9 for you. So that means you're rolling a D8 and a D6.
Add them together.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Rolled a 6 and an 8.
Okay, so you get to add 2 more dice of the same type, so 1d8 and 1d6. Roll them and add on.
6 and a 5.
So what's the total, everything added together?
1 second. Getting out my fingers and toes.
25. 25, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, so that's an extraordinary success on an attack, which is the equivalent of a critical. But let's see what it does. Combat, resolving attacks. 218. So an excellent result or better ignores armor. Is there any other effect? Doesn't look like there's any other special effects for getting really good hits. So the damage for your bow is 10, and it gets to ignore the cadaver's armor. Okay, so with a damage of 10, you're rolling 2d8 for damage.
All right. Two ones.
Okay.
That seems a really weird mechanic that you can have an exploding dice result with minimum damage. That's really weird.
Yeah.
This is a Shadowrun edition, right?
It's the 3rd edition, but it was originally based on Shadowrun. I don't know. I don't like Shadowrun, so I don't know how close the system stays to it. I think I played 2nd edition Shadowrun when it was buckets of D6s, but okay. Here's what happens. You do such a good hit with your crossbow, and it is so papery and dry and feeble that the crossbow just passes clean through its head, barely doing any damage, just leaving a neat little sort of cross shape through its flesh. Right, what does Bodhi wish to do?
Do I have a clear line of shot from where I'm standing, or is Val in the way?
It's a bit of a clearing here, where they've got all these cocoons strung up, so you've got a clear line of sight.
Okay. Then I'm going to fire the knocked bow I had. I rolled a 1 on the d8, and 3 is total of 4.
Okay, and the difficulty is 6. So if you rolled 4, that is a poor result, which is in this case a miss. So yeah, you let fly with your arrow, and it somehow conspires to miss the corpse completely, and just stabs into the moss nearby. On Valken's go, we forgot to do what the dog does. So what do the dog do?
I did not roll dog initiative. Does dog go with me?
Dog goes with you.
All right. Knock down. Knock down
Yeah.
7.
No, that's for him. That's how much damage would knock him down.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's just a straightforward attack. So he's got an attack of 8. So find the chart. 8 is 2d6 for his attack.
And that is an 8.
Okay, against a difficulty of 6 is enough to hit. His bite does 11 damage. So that's d10 plus d8.
7 damage.
Okay, and the cadaver does it have physical armor? No, magical armor. So 7 damage, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Nuklav bounds forward and bites at the thing through the cocoon, biting into its papery flesh underneath, sending up a cloud of noxious dust. Bodhi fired. Right. You're barely aware, all of you, as you're sort of transfixed by this living corpse. You're barely aware of a sort of sound like a giant cracking its knuckles up in the canopy, and something tapping against wood. Ella.
Now, she is nearer the canopy than the ground, so she is going to direct her attention to this novel sound.
Okay. Looking up, an enormous spider covered in moss and creepers has unfurled itself out of a knot of branches and is starting to climb down the trunk of the tree.
Okay, why not just push these slightly over-complex mechanics a little bit further? I'm going to make an attack attempting to knock down, and therefore presumably down off the tree.
Right. So knock down.
So it's a standard attack, so I can be doing that while you're looking that up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm attacking with my doodad sword. My melee weapon is asterisked, so I think I can spend karma on that.
You can indeed.
And that gives me an extra d6.
Each karma point you spend gives you an extra d6.
Okay.
And I don't think there's a limit on how many you can spend.
Okay, I will just spend the 1 right now, I think. So that is a 10 on the chart, which is 2d8, okay, plus a d6. So first d8 is a 6, second is a 5, 11, and the d6 is a 4, 15 for the attack roll.
15 for the attack roll. Okay. And the spider's defense is 6. You're doing a knockdown attack, which I think increases the difficulty slightly. Sorry, what was your total again?
15.
15. Okay, that's a success. So knockdown. Okay, so roll damage for your hit.
Which is is a 7, which is a D12. Can I spend a separate karma on damage rolls, or is that only for action?
I think you can. I'm going to let you anyway.
Okay, I will do that. So that is a 6, 10 in total.
So 10 damage. Okay. That's armor 2. No, that's not going to count against knockdown attack. So that's. Okay, that's 1d8. Now I need to look up falling damage. Thank you for doing complicated things.
Yeah. Kick the tires and all that, right?
There's no index entry for falling damage. Where else might it be? Environmental damage? No. Other sources of damage? Damage. Should have downloaded the PDF beforehand. Didn't think to do it.
I might be able to help you out with that.
Okay.
It's
Might be
hosted.
in the Games Master's book. Falling damage table. There we go. But thank you anyway. Okay. Now I said it was what, 30 meters up, I think.
Initially, yes. That was the height
Yeah.
from which the cocoon started descending.
Yeah. Okay. Armor doesn't protect against falling damage. Okay. All right. So for falling that distance, the giant spider makes 2 damage tests at step 25. So that's quite bad. Can you do the honors and roll the dice?
Step 25. Okay.
Yes.
Two-
The 2d12.
Yeah, plus a D10, plus a D8.
Yeah.
D10, D8. Okay. D12 number 1 is 5. D12 number 2 is 10, is 15. D12 is 4, 19. D8 is 8, 27, plus a reroll, which is a 3, 30, all told.
And roll it again because falling from that height, you do it twice.
Oh, okay, all right. So it's 30 so far. That's a 12 on the first D12. It's 19 to 21 plus the D10. 21, 30, 34, 64. I make that all in, I believe. Is that
Okay.
right? At 30
Right.
and 34?
So you dart forward at lightning speed and stab into one of the joints on one of its rear legs that is holding it onto the tree. It loses its grip, slips, flips over onto its back, and hurtles down 30 meters, striking the ground with a mixture of crunching and wet bursting sounds. You are all splashed with spider innards. Like you know the forest beast in Flash Gordon. It comes up out of the leaves like that. And then gets shot and all the green slime flies out. Yeah, like that.
Ugh. You're going to need a bath, you. Look at you. Ugh.
Is Ella's wings okay? Oh my goodness.
Well, she's up there. She's fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. What's Ella's physical defense?
It is. Hang on. Let me just flip to the other document. It is 9.
Okay. Okay. 9, you said, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
But there is a thing saying flight +2. I don't know whether that means that when I'm flying, it's actually 11. But I don't know.
Yes, it is. So it's actually 11. Okay. Right. One of the other treetops sort of shudders and shakes, and a gob of bright green venom spits out through the foliage, narrowly misses you, and splashes into the bark of the tree next to you, which immediately starts hissing and bubbling and breaking down.
A brief screech followed by an immediate heading for the ground as fast as possible.
Yeah. As you start to dive, sort of folding your wings back and heading towards the ground as quickly as you can, another spider emerges from another tree and spits another gobbet of venom at you, which you pretty much fly into and through. So let me just check what that does. Right, make a toughness roll against a difficulty of 7.
Okay, so my tough is 11/5, so I'm rolling on the 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm rolling 1d8, but then I'm reading across the 7 line for the result. Okay,
Yeah.
so 3. That's a poor result. Bang on poor, 3.
Okay, so that is a failure. So as you plummet towards the ground and fly through this gob of venom, kind of like being in the front row at a punk show, you feel your extremities going numb and your wings slowing down, and you land with a soft but precipitous thump in the purple moss, unable to move. So you are currently paralyzed.
Okay.
Right. The corpse pulls its way free of the cocoon, but you can see thick strands of webbing running off it, almost like, the strings for controlling a puppet. Its mouth sort of creaks open, sort of half snapping, and over the sounds of combat and bursting spiders, you barely hear it say, "Leave." And then it turns its attention on the dog.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, cadaver attack. 7. Dog defense is physical defense 7. So 7v7. That's d12. That's an 8. So that's a hit. And the cadaver does 9 damage. So that is a d8 and a d6. Ten damage to the dog. The dog has armor 3, so that drops the damage to 7, which isn't over his wound threshold. Okay. Yeah, and then it twists around on the dog and beats on its back with its undead arms, sort of loosely flailing at it, but it seems to hit quite hard. So he yelps and then growls, refusing to be intimidated. Right, and lastly, Beth, who rolled 1 for her initiative.
Oh boy. So the dead thing that just muttered leave is still alive? Like
Or undead.
undead? Okay. Can I see any more sacks above? I want to check and make sure none are falling again.
None seem to be falling at the moment, but there are other cocoons
Yeah. Do I
hung
see
in the
this?
trees.
Do I see the spider that was spitting?
Yeah, you can see the other 2 spiders emerging from the foliage up there.
Okay. Are they too far away for me to try to throw my throwing knife at
What's the range on the throwing dagger? Did I write the range down? I'm
them?
gonna need
I
that for
wrote it down. Oh gosh, where is it? Was it 10? It might be 10. Wait, it might not be very high. Search pit. Where the fuck did I write my dagger nonsense? I know I have 11 daggers.
That should be the skill, dagger nonsense.
I like that. Oh, damage.
Range 10/20. Okay, so yeah, you can't throw the daggers far enough to hit the
Well, I guess
hit the
let
spiders.
me throw one of the undead. Try to hit
Okay.
him in his head.
So your skill at throwing is 8, so that is 2d6.
Okay. Let's see. 4. Well, that landed off the thing. 6. So
Okay, so that's 10. And roll another d6 and add on
3. So wait.
13.
13.
Yeah. Okay, and its difficulty is 6, so that's an excellent hit. If it had armor, it would ignore it. And now the damage for your thrown daggers is
8.
Yes. Okay, so 8 damage is 2d6.
I'm gonna put all my d6. Oh, 1.
So 4 damage.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you quickly slip one of your many, many daggers into your hand, flip it to hold it by the blade, and the flick of your wrist, and it flies out and stabs into the thing's neck and gets stuck there. And it doesn't seem that bothered.
Shit.
So, new turn. You're supposed to roll initiative every turn, but I can't be asked. So let's not. Bodhi.
I am going to, looking at all my skills and stuff, I'm just going to let another volley. And,
So as well as your attack, you can do a minor action. So do you want to maneuver or?
what I would like to do, when we got those goods, did we get any like antidotes or like anti-poison things or poison resisting things in the gear?
No.
All right.
Could you coat your weapon with the anti-insect repellent? That function as a sort of poison for them if ingested.
Might do.
That's actually a good idea. I have a lot of goop on my body. I'll coat the tip real quick of my arrow with it, and then I will shoot at one of the spiders.
So you're going to coat your tip in goop.
Some of the residual goop from my arm.
Just the tip.
Apparently, you are here to fuck spiders.
Yes. Yes. Very well lubricated spiders. Because they're kind of you need a little something for the rough.
Okay, make your bow attack roll.
Okay. No ones. Yay. That is 6.
Okay. And its defense is 6. So 6 versus 6. That should be enough for an average hit, I think. Yes. Okay. And
Then
what's
my
the damage on the bow?
bows-
10, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's 2d8.
Yeah.
Okay. Woohoo! 6 and 5 is a total of 11.
And that bow's got enough range to reach the spiders, doesn't it?
It's a longbow, yeah.
Yeah.
40 to 80.
So, sorry, what'd you get? 11 damage?
11, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll give you a bonus. Okay, so yeah, your arrow flies up into the trees and scrapes along the carapace of one of the spiders. It opens up its mouth parts and hisses at you angrily, and speeds up its descent. Can Ella make a toughness roll to try and resist the paralysis, please? The difficulty is 7.
All right, gotcha. So 5 is a single D8. That is a 3 on a difficulty. 7 is a fail again.
Yeah. So you grunt and struggle with the leaden nature of your limbs, but you can't move. And little insects in the moss are starting to crawl over you. You don't think they have any ill intent. It's just you're laying on the ground in a rotten jungle. So. Oh God! It's in your mouth.
Not the first time that's happened. But
we're not playing bondage fairies.
well, some of us aren't. When you say paralyzed, I have lots of different interpretations of this. Does this literally mean sort of like neurotoxin? Cannot breathe, maybe can breathe shallowly, but that's it? Or is it just a sort of...
Yeah, maybe whisper huskily.
Yeah, in that case, she's doing her best to absolutely scream, because this is one of her nightmares. Not being able to move, being constrained is an absolute nightmare for her. But of course, all she can do is... and she's going to... Yeah, and she's going to direct this entirely at Bodhi, who is her savior.
So maybe that guy in the husk wasn't going to hurt us anyways, though? Oh, I guess they were lowering it. Never mind.
Right. Falcons go. You and the dog are closest to the cadaver, and it's just punched your dog.
Yes, I will shoot it again because it punched my dog.
Okay. All right. Point blank range, and it's slow moving, so I'll give you a bonus. Add 2 to your step for your bow skill. And it's difficulty 6 to hit it.
Uh, 17.
Okay, that's an extraordinary hit, so that's good. And now roll the damage.
And
I think it's 10, isn't it?
10, yeah.
Yeah, so that is
2d8.
2d8. Yep.
Better than last time, 9.
Okay. Okay, a much more palpable hit. The crossbow strikes into its chest, ricochets off a couple of ribs, cracking them, and its armor's all dried out and desiccated as well, and it all sort of splits open, and the dust and rot that used to be its innards starts to pour out of it down its side. And your pup's attack, please.
All right. His bite is 11.
Is that his skill or the damage?
No, that's the skill. Oh wait.
No, attack 8, and then the bite does 11 damage. So it's an 8 versus 6. So you'll be rolling 2d6 for his attack.
10.
Okay, that is a good hit. And then roll the damage, which is d10 plus a d8.
$10.
Okay. So a good, solid, palpable hit. All right. Pissed off at being hit, your enormous war dog circles around behind the cadaver man and bites chunks out the back of his legs. He goes bow-legged and drops about 6 inches in height.
Good boy.
Right. The 2 spiders up in the tree shoot ropes of web onto the trunks of the trees. And what's the word for it? They sort of drop down on the ropes.
Rappel.
Rappel, yes. The 2 spiders rappel down like a pair of SAS troops and land with a spring on their too many legs at the bottom. The cadaver turns its attention upon Vulcan. What's your physical defense?
Physical armor?
And no defense, or it might just be listed as phys.
Physical defense is 7.
Okay, so that's 7 versus 7. 7 is 1d12. It's a 10, which is a hit. And it does 9 damage, which is d8 and d6. So it hits quite hard. So that's 22 damage minus your armor. So your armor is it's here somewhere. Physical defense.
Physical armor is
Physical
4.
armor is 4. Okay, so I said, what was it, 22
22.
damage? 2019. So you take 18 hit points of damage.
And where's my total?
Well, it's best to mark it down as how much you've taken, I think, so that you can take 39 points of damage before you die.
Okay, I get it.
Okay, can you make a toughness roll, please? So your toughness is TOU, which is a step of 7. So that is D12.
8.
Okay, you take a wound, which means you're at -1 step penalty to all actions. And can you make the same roll again, please?
9.
Okay. Right, and you're knocked down. So yeah, it smashes you really hard. You go flying back, land on your ass. You think it cracked a rib or something when it struck you.
And I have 1 wound?
1 wound, yeah. So it's -1 step penalty to anything you do. Right, and it is Beth's go. So, Ghoul, you're muted.
Can I throw a knife at the closest spider?
Yep.
Do I have any of the goop near me by any chance?
If you put some of the goop on, you can just sort of wipe the blade on your skin.
Okay, yeah. Let me wipe a little of that goop on that and throw it at the spider.
Okay. So throwing weapons is 8. So you need to roll
2d6.
2d6. Yeah.
Let me kind of see the numbers. Okay. All right. 4 and a 3. That's 7.
So that's 7 damage. Oh, was that? No, that was the to hit roll, wasn't it? Physical defense is 6. So you got 7 versus 6. That's enough to hit. So now you roll damage.
Just 2 more d6s.
That's damage 8, isn't it? So yeah, that's 2d6.
I got 7 again.
Okay. And plus a bit for the anti-insect stuff. So that's 9 damage. -2 for armor. Okay. You hurl your dagger and it smacks into its carapace as it rears up and starts to decide who to attack. The dagger cracks some of the chitin, but it doesn't fully penetrate and drops to the ground underneath it. Right, new turn. Bodhi.
I'm gonna try a different method. I would like
Run away?
I would like to use the avoid damage or avoid blows the entire turn.
Yeah.
But I want to also see if I can use my charisma or my art of persuasion to try to pull aggro from everybody, like talk shit on the spiders, perhaps. Yeah, your mother was only bones or half-begotten skin, dirty zombie thing. Look at me, I'm a waving target, la-di-la-la-la-di.
Okay.
Because I want to at least try to give my allies like a buffer zone, so I'm going to try this really hard. So do you want me to roll Void Blow? Do you want me to roll
Let's start with trying to taunt them, I suppose.
Karma, spending a karma. Just declaring that now. We're going to get there. I try to look for intimidation in the books. I saw emotion thingy, but I didn't have that skill.
Well, impress? I think this counts as half magic for you because it's something that you should be able to do. There is a specialist taunt skill, but I think we'll let it slide. So take the half magic level of 1, add it to your charisma. That gives you a total of 7. Okay, so with 7, you're rolling a d12, and then you wanted to spend karma, so you can add a d6 to that. So d12 plus a d6.
All right. And I shall say... Oi, why don't you all go fuck yourselves? Okay, I got a 6 on the karma. Do I roll again or no?
So you roll another d6 and add it on.
So 11 and 6 is 17. Oh, plus 1 is 18.
Okay, well, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah. Now let's see. We'll consider that a social attack. So you got 17, yeah?
Mm-hmm. No, 18 total. 18.
18 total. Okay. So...
Ghoul, you're muted again.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Okay. So the corpse immediately turns towards you. The Apparently, giant spiders are really easy to taunt. They must be insecure.
They're more
Maybe-
scared of you than you are of them.
I
It
was
was-
just
okay.
gonna say that.
It's the way that
So,
I shake
yeah.
my booty. That's all it is. It's the way that I shake my booty.
They don't like the cut of your thorax.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've definitely turned their attention to you. So the avoid skill, did I write that up? Avoid blow.
Yeah, it's 9. It's at 9. So
Yeah.
There's 2 spiders and the cadaver's still.
Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
spiders is quite wounded. The cadaver's quite wounded. The
in
other
the
spider
PDF,
is
it's page
unharmed.
62, chapter 6, if you need that.
Yeah. So I think avoid blow. So there's 2 versions. There's the one with the star next to it, which is the Karma version, and I think you can attempt to do that as many times as you like. That each time costs you a hit point, essentially. And there's the non-starred skill, which you can do once per turn against an attack by sacrificing your extraction.
I have a non-starred one.
Okay, so you'll be able to try and avoid 1 blow, but it's still better than nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is
Right.
So I don't
sorry
roll
if
it,
this.
I don't roll it preemptively, or
No.
oh, okay.
If something hits you, then you can roll against their attack.
Okay.
Right, Ella, try and overcome being paralyzed again.
I take it at a 4, which is just above poor, but not sufficient for whatever the thing above poor
Yeah,
is.
it needs to get over the next break point.
Yeah,
So,
which is 7, wasn't it? Was the difficulty? So was it
Yeah.
7? Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
no, still paralyzed.
well, tell you what. Do you want to spend a karma point to try and pull out of it?
Let me just have a look and see, because I've spent 2. I just want to check how many I actually. Sorry, I just want to check how many I actually have, as it were.
Yeah.
Maximum karma is 13, so I take it we started with 13.
You start with the maximum. Yeah. So yeah,
Right.
you have plenty.
Oh fuck yeah! Can we spend multiples?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I'm going to spend at least. I'm going to spend 2 more. In that case, so I spent 4. So what did I say? I got 4, 7, 13 altogether. Oh, and that's 6. 13, 16 all told.
Okay. Yes, you feel the sensation coming back into your limbs, and you can take your action this turn as well as throwing off the paralysis.
She's not going anywhere near those fucking spiders. Absolutely not. So she's going to try and. Do I want to do this to you for a second? The second time I get to act, I go for a specialist attack.
Of course you do.
Let's go for a stun on that corpse.
Okay. So I need to remember how that works.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's all part of the point of these shows. So,
So it's basically just a usual attack. Doesn't cause any wounds, but it knocks out if the damage is over the stun stroke kill rating of the creature. I take it.
Over the wound rating, I think. Is it called
Yeah.
knockout attack or stun attack?
Stun. There's knockdown attack and there's stun attack.
Okay.
So this is a stun. Now, I don't think he's quite over. He's not outnumbered, is he? Because he's only got the dog and Valken on him at the moment, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Directly. I think it needs to. Did I read it? You need 4 people to be overwhelmed. Yes, 4 or more.
I think
to be
so.
carried.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Sorry, I will do this as quickly as I can. So I'm going with melee, which is a 10, which converts to a 2d8.
Difficulty 6 to hit the cadaver.
15, 16. Difficulty 6. 16 is an excellent attack.
So
Excellent.
if it had
excellent
armor, that
strength.
would ignore it. Yeah.
Yep. and damage is 7, which translates to a d12 for damage, which is cocked. Let's try that again, which is a 9 for damage.
Okay. So 9 on the cadaver. Okay. So, all right. It seems to reel from the blow. Whatever's left of its dried up brain must have rattled around in its skull. It's not going to take much else to put it down, and it's vulnerable to a strike while it recovers its senses, such as they are. Falcon, finish him.
All right.
But you were knocked down, so you're currently laying on the ground.
You can fire a crossbow prone, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you look up the
Increases.
prone rules.
I think it creates a penalty to the attack. But that's not going to be a huge deal.
Looking at the crib, it says knocked down -3.
Yeah, so you take 3 away from your step for your attack. With
Oh,
the
so I'm
bow.
at -4 with the wound penalty.
Yeah, which
I
would
spend-
drop your step to 5.
Can I spend 2 karma points to add 2d6?
Yes.
All right.
So you'll be rolling 2d6 and a d8.
$12.
Okay. And then it's damage 10, so 2d8 for damage.
11.
Okay. As the cadaver sort of stumbles around drunkenly from having a pixie smack it at lightning speed in the back of the head, you fire, narrowly missing Ella, but the bolt goes in under its chin and out through the top of its head, scrambling what's left of its brains, and the cadaver drops.
And can I have my dog attack the wounded spider?
Yes, your faithful hound turns around and uses its mighty leap to spring across the battlefield and attack the other spider. So make an attack roll for him.
It's a 6.
Okay, and their defense is 6, I believe. So that is a hit, and then he does 11 damage, which is d10 plus d8.
$11 again.
Okay, so that's... Okay, so he leaps across the clearing, lands on the back of the spider, and bites its upper joints on its legs, ripping one of them off, leaving a little leaky stump. The spider drops onto the ground on one side with its legs curling up underneath it. Right. The remaining spider decides that discretion is the greater part of valor and retreats backwards rapidly into the behind the trees, sort of scuttling back. There's no real undergrowth for it to hide in, but it scuttles backwards into the trees. Do you want to pursue or just let it go?
Well, I want to change and fire an arrow at it if I can. There's rules for that, right? I saw the change thing.
Yeah. We haven't been doing the initiative properly because it's complicated and long-winded, and we're slow enough as it is. But yeah, so just make a normal attack on it.
All right. So that's going to be that. So D8, D6, and karma.
Chameleon.
Okay. 5 with a 1 rolled. Womp womp.
Womp womp. Yeah. So the arrow misses and it continues scuttling its way back. The arrow strikes one of the trunks of the trees in front of it.
Bravely, I'll say, "Stay out of here and away from us."
So I take it the rest of you don't want to pursue. Just recover your
No.
weapons and
Yeah, I
figure
need
out
to
what to
pick up
do.
all my daggers.
All your daggers. Yeah. Several arrows were fired.
Do I have like a glass vial I could store some of the acid venom in?
Some of the venom in. You've probably got probably a clay pot rather than a glass vial.
Okay.
But
I
yeah,
could take
you can.
that for my.
Yeah, you can milk their fangs for some spider venom.
I'll milk that spider.
Okay. If you took damage, you can spend one of your recovery rolls or more to make a toughness roll and get back that many hit points. Wounds. Wounds are difficult to heal. A character naturally heals 1 wound per day while resting, but otherwise are fucked. You're going to have to carry that wound with you, that broken free floating rib.
All right.
Okay. We've been going longer than we normally do without a break. Do you want to take a break?
I am totally down for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to get another drink.
I need
Okay.
refills.
Yeah. So let's take. Call it 10 minutes, but 10 past, so slightly over 10 minutes. And we'll see you all back then.
All right.
Are we all back, apart from Ghoul, who's turned into a loaf of bread? Or is it a baguette?
It is a baguette, I think. Yeah. It's my baguette.
Well, that was a nasty bit of work. Is this what poor people have to deal with every day?
Now, I just point out that Bodhi will have to say that underneath the scolding, Ella flies immediately to him and starts sort of patting him down for wounds and checking him, scolding him. You silly, silly man! What do you think you were doing standing there shouting at those creatures? They're just it's idiotic! You're all right, aren't you? You're not hurt.
Well, as you know, everybody loves the Bodhi booty.
Yes, well, you should love it a bit more. Try and stop presenting it to spiders' mandibles.
That one was a new one for me. I guess everybody has to have a bucket list at some point in time.
Get ass bitten by giant spider.
Yeah, how many more spiders are we gonna have to like deal with? What if that one ran to go get its friends?
I was thinking we could check those cocoons, but I don't want to fight any more of these. Gesturing to the corpse.
No, I don't either.
You know, what I was actually thinking is, instead of thinking everything is going to be okay, how about we actually look at what we got from that thing? There's torches in those like bags of the extra venturing gear that we got for the safety bits, like a flask of oil, some flint and steel, something.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bodhi's going to make sure he can ready at least a flask in a pocket or so of oil, and thinks that it might be a good idea to at least have one torch lit because, well, like the peasants do, burn it with fire usually solves quite a few things.
Usually, that helps.
Yeah. And don't they say like smoke keeps away bigger predators or creatures or something like that?
The light could draw.
Yes, smoke kind of brings attention, but we'll walk away from the smoke, so.
Oh, I'm totally thinking about covering whatever comes up at me with oil and then lighting it on fire.
Oh.
In fact, is there bits of like cloth and stuff like that in there?
Just like, burn it all.
You've probably got sacks and bags that you can tear up if you want to do that.
Okay. Yeah, Bodhi's completely distracted in trying to become an adventurer now that he can't remember the glyphs on the rocks. Thank you, chat.
Now, what was the rock?
There were the pieces of statues and what looked to be mile markers from a road that was here. But there's been like 5 centuries of growth and weathering and so on.
Oh.
But it does suggest that you're on the right track.
Now, and I can recover from damage.
Yeah. You make a toughness draw and recover that many hit points.
All right.
The idea with the cloth is to recover. Can I recover the 4 arrows I shot? Or
yeah, I rolled for those. They're not busted. They're
okay.
Reusable.
I'm going to wrap those 4 with at least some kind of cotton cloth to see if I can kind of like makeshift attach it, and then dip them in oil. Not super wet or soppy, kind of dampish.
Do recovery tests explode as well?
Yes.
So roll a 15 on that.
Okay, so you recover 15 from the damage that you took.
Nice.
But not the wounds.
Right.
So does anybody know where we are on the map? Is that like an actual, now that we have like somebody here who maybe know, like, do you know the map?
No, let me take a look.
He's going to hand the journal and the paperwork because he's busy doing shit.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too much further if you've got things right.
Should I make a? Oh,
And you rolled before, it's fine. But yeah, while you're examining them, you glance over briefly at the corpse, and you see the strands of web that were attached to it being pulled off in different directions into the jungle. They seem to detach from the corpse and pull away. And you realize that the web was tangled not only through its limbs, but through its innards as well.
So it was like threaded with it?
Hmm.
Wow. Well, that's 10 times scarier.
You don't think you should stay here much longer?
I don't want to be a spider puppet.
Can I make a knowledge check as they're like saying, "Hey, look at this crazy stuff"?
Look at this crazy shit.
Yeah.
Let me have a look at your character sheet. Your knowledge is primarily of Tavras.
Bullshit
but
with that magic.
I think being a bard type and knowing about legends being your jam. Yes, make a roll with a skill of 7.
With a skill of 7, okay. Where's the
So step 7 is D12.
D12 guy?
And you can spend karma if you want.
Oh yes, I think I'm definitely going to spend karma because at first I thought I only had 3. That's why I wasn't like, oh, why would I spend karma?
Ew.
Woohoo! So a total of 8, no ones rolled.
Okay.
That's the second karma. I gotta mark that down.
You don't remember much, but you remember hearing some odd rumors of explorers and trade caravans trying to cut through the jungle and disappearing, and some talk about shriveled walking dead emerging from the jungle to attack the boats on the river, but he didn't put much credence to it, and they were only the occasional whispered rumor, but it seemed that they were true.
I'll disseminate to the party what I can kind of muster and what I'm thinking. No, I want to take a closer. They said they found glyphs. If I'm done with my task, I want to take a closer look at them to see if that triggers anything that I might have seen or heard.
Yeah, I'll look again at your sheet.
Also, I want to use the journal to see if there's any like weird. Oh, there's some odd drawings.
Okay. A lot of it is weathered away, and the alphabet is archaic, but you can pick out a few words in the leftover remnants of these statues and carvings. Yeah, it's a mile marker for the Winter House specifically. Your family were very wealthy if they had a road built.
Look at the map and let everybody else know. Would I have a really good idea of which point to pin where we're at and where we need to go, maybe?
And you're going to have to overnight somewhere, given the pace that you've been able to make so far. But you should manage to reach the ruins, not long after the next morning. Or you could press on into the night to get to the ruins, which might provide you some shelter. But that would mean trying to find your way in the proper dark.
Well, Beth, Ella, any ideas? Do we want to press on and try to?
Falcon's the expert. And you leave him out.
I don't
Busy
wanna
staring
be
at rocks
here.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, no more here.
I think our best bet is to continue to move forward. We have torches. Get to the ruins.
Yeah.
How many generations ago was this lost?
500 years or thereabouts.
Now is that like 50 years in dwarf time, or how do dwarfs work?
I'm not sure how dwarves age, but it's probably a safe bet that they age slower.
Well, it's kind of the sort of background environmental thing is kind of where we are with the sort of Mayan Empire and the arrival of the British, or in the 19th century.
Yeah.
Wasn't much to see.
I know elves live a horribly long time. Here we go. Dwarves have an average lifespan of 100 years.
Oh,
So, and that in a pseudo medieval fantasy world, albeit with some healing magic. So I guess humans live an average of what? That would tell us a lot, actually. Okay, so they reckon, I guess the healing magic is better than I thought. They reckon humans typically live to 75 years, but then they describe the dwarven age as an average. So 25% longer than humans, I suppose.
and you're sure that their wealth is sitting there?
Well,
Bodhi.
nobody in the family ever decided to go take a venture forth to it. And I mean, I kind of remember about being told about it from, I think it was maybe one of my grandparents or so. And there was this story, this fanciful thing, and then I don't know, I stumbled upon the book one day being bored, because you know how a droll father is.
All right, well, count your arrows. I smear the goop and the muck and the mud all on my face even further. Slick my hair back with it.
Yeah.
Are you going to hide behind a large rock for a predator to set off a thermonuclear warhead?
I was thinking more Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I'm definitely, if we're going to move, everybody needs to have light, Bernie light, and pull out, at least have an oil flask at the ready. Because worst case scenario, how about we light it on fire and just run?
I like that.
Yeah.
That sounds
Fire is good for most things. Okay.
Ella, are you in the clouds again? Ella.
She spent this entire time since then fussing over you, annoyingly getting under your feet constantly. She stops to look at Velkin and just wrinkles her nose. What is he doing? Ugh.
How about you ride on my shoulder for now, because I don't want to lose you.
Can Velkin roll 2d6, please?
Snake eyes again.
Would you like to spend some karma?
I would. I'll spend 2 more of those.
Okay.
9,
Okay. And add on the 2 that you rolled before.
11.
So 11. Okay. All right. So you press on even as the sun begins to set. There's not an immediate change in the light under the canopy because it's dark down here anyway. But as the sun does dip over the horizon, it abruptly gets a lot darker. Fortunately, you have the torch lit, so that helps a little. But without the light in the sky to help Valken get his orientation, it takes you a bit longer than you thought to reach the ruins. But suddenly, out of the towering, vine-covered trees of the jungle, you find these skeletal remnants of a manor house. Big stone blocks, many of which have fallen down. The roof has long ago caved in, leaving the ground scattered with terracotta tiles. There are worn and moss-covered statues. But this is definitely the place. It's grown through with all the trees, and the undergrowth has reasserted itself around here, and that ubiquitous purplish moss has grown over everything.
Well,
Um,
do we want to camp by it and then
yeah.
scout?
Can
I
I
mean-
now roll for my knowledge? Like, now that I'm seeing it, can I roll my knowledge on ruin or whatever?
You may indeed.
That, okay.
Okay, so your knowledge ruins is
2 plus perception equals 8.
so 8, which on the table says 2d6.
Okay. Four and a 2, so 6.
Okay.
Help us.
Do you want to spend some karma?
Yes.
I think you can for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So spend however many karma points you want and roll that many d6 extra.
Let's do 2. 4 and a 3. 7.
So onto your previous 6 makes 13. Okay. It's late, it's dark, but you do have torches. Quickly scanning the shape of the ruins and remembering what you saw in the journal. If there's a vault, it should be under the old wine cellars, which should be beneath the kitchen area, which should be towards the rear of the house. And you think you can make out enough landmarks to figure out where that is.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that to everybody. Try to write it down.
So you can find it, grab a couple of sticks, and make an X shape where you think it should be.
Yeah. Kitchen around the back. Okay.
Being from the family, is there anything I can roll for insight into what Beth had already said before?
It was a pretty grand house. The family didn't talk about it that much. It's just the kind of the legend of the wealth that was hidden away there. But you didn't really need it. Yeah, in one breath, the family would speak breathlessly about how much gold, how wealthy the family was before, and how miraculous it was that you managed to build yourselves up again. And then in the next breath, they'd be talking it down. Oh, it's not worth the trouble of going out there and digging it up. And,
And they never really said what that trouble was, did they?
No.
I'm curious about this purple moss, if I could just check that out. Can I roll wilderness survival?
You may.
Sounds cool.
9.
Okay. You've seen spots of it before growing, but it seems to be growing a lot more thickly now. You've mostly seen it growing in scourge-tainted areas, but it seems to have spread beyond their bounds somewhat. It's mostly grown around the outskirts of the house and through much of it, but the area in which Beth has indicated that the vault should be, the purple moss doesn't grow over that area.
And what is the scourge?
So the Scourge was the magical apocalypse that descended on everything when Cthulhuid entities from beyond this dimension came in and screwed everything up for everybody. Everyone went and hid in shelters, sort of like magical fallout shelters, until they left. But they've left a lot of damage on the world.
I'm not sure about this moss. Something... It's an ill omen, but it's not by the vault, which is a good sign. Something residual from the scourge.
So you can set up camp and rest overnight. Sorry if I'm rushing you a little bit, but we're short on time now. You can lose that wound that you got from having a proper rest. All right, and the trees are a little thinner around the ruin. It's mostly younger trees that seem to have broken open the stone, pushed through it, or grown over it, but they don't provide as much foliage cover. So in the daylight, such as it is, you're able to get a better look. Somehow the purple moss looks even worse in proper daylight. Only the barest kind of skeleton of the house remains. It's more like a small manor house than a simple summer house. Looking at the size of the stones and everything, it looks almost like it was built as a miniature fortress. The moss has climbed over a great deal of it, but not where the vault should be. Though, if there's a vault under here, it's under the shattered remnants of the tiles that once made up the roof. And, hundreds of years of leaf litter that has broken down.
Just to clarify, a part of the building is covered still. Or is it just walls standing?
It's just walls standing. The roof's all collapsed in many hundreds of years ago, probably.
Is there a door I can try to lockpick on it?
You won't know until you clear some of this rubble.
Are we pretty confident there's probably something here that doesn't want us to be here just because of the creepy undead thing and the bunch of spiders that were acting as its friends? I mean, I never know anybody to talk to a freaking spider before. But then again, I never really had the troubles of peasants, so... What do you guys think?
The moss isn't on the vault. That's, to me, a good sign. And I love digging because I'm a dwarf. So I'm all for it.
Right you are. I will knock my bow and keep lookout.
So you don't have to dig.
I'm the face of this operation.
Well, Milklav will help you dig. He's a dog. Dogs like digging almost as much as dwarves do, and he's a dwarf breed. He's a dungeon war dog. So yeah, he's.
That's why we get on so well.
Yeah. So yeah, you work through about half the day, and you manage to clear a huge amount of rotting leaves. Shattered fragments of roof tile and so on, and clear off a bit of space underneath. What you find is a large, flat, square stone door interlaced with inlays of orichalcum, which seems a bit ostentatious for a vault underneath a kitchen.
Hmm.
I'm going to try to use some of the words that I kind of figured out to see if I can decipher anything, if there's any language, script, or symbolism.
You concentrate and translate as best you can. It's in the old, like 500-year-old dialect from the city. But you've grown up in Tavar and seen lots of these kind of things around, so you don't need to roll anything. It just takes you a bit of time to figure out. So this is the vault of the Tavarin family to guarantee their future. Any trespass shall be met with death. And brushing aside a bit more of the leaf litter, there seems to be like a family seal in the center of it. Brush more stuff off. Slightly archaic compared to the current one, but it seems to be the family seal. There's a smaller version in the very center that is just missing the sort of final family crest part.
Am I wearing like a family crest insignia at all?
You have a family ring, which you probably should have left with your father, but didn't.
Yeah, bastard. Oh wait, that's what I made. Stow bow, pull dagger, one hand, and I will touch the ring to the center of the area, and in grandiose ego, I'll announce myself as Bodhi Travarin. Open, says me.
Open says a who? Right, the ring, it gets kind of, as you get close, it's almost pulled into the slot as if by magnets. It goes sort of clunk in. It feels like you could turn your hand.
Okay. Perhaps can I pull my finger from the ring and then turn it? I kind of think I did this backwards.
Yep, you can. You yank your finger out from the
Look,
ring.
we all make mistakes after 500 years. We have to get it up a little bit better, okay?
And give it a twist.
Mhm.
Okay. There's the sound of ancient mechanisms moving, but they seem to have been well crafted. And bit by bit, piece by piece, the ground rumbling under you, bits of roof tile and piles of stuff you've dug out sort of collapse through holes in the ground. And the whole thing slowly, gradually opens up, revealing some steps heading down into total darkness in the ground beneath. Some of the moss has infiltrated through in here and is growing in corners in the damp and dark beneath.
Huzzah, I was totally prepared for this. Light some more torches. There you go. Here you go. Here you go. Val? I'm going to take a page from your book and go first, but I want you right behind me.
All right. I turn on my thermal vision.
And I'm going to go back to the bow from the dagger and knock and just slowly walk in, just scanning for anything that's like pops out, dies. All
right, you descend into the darkness. It goes down quite some way. There are sigils and runes carved into the walls and filled in with orichalcums. They glow like gold and glitter in the dark. At the bottom, you reach a sort of little puddle where the damp has gotten in, and the moss grows thicker here, but it never seems to quite take. It's just in little sickly patches here and there. And eventually you come upon a grand stone door with a big stone cranking wheel set into the wall next to it, though the handle has long since rotted away.
Val, you got any ideas?
Stick my shovel into the so it's just like the wheels there, but you need something to hold
Need
on.
something as a handle to stick
All
into the hole.
Take an unlit torch,
Mhm.
jam it in there, and try and see if that works.
Takes a bit of oomph, but you manage to get it moving. It cranks and rattles. The stone door holds together for a second and then cracks open, and dust and dead moss and stuff falls down from it. And a pair of big, thick stone doors inlaid with orichalcum gradually grind open. Foul air comes wafting out with a smell of rot and wet and damp and mold.
This will be worth it. Lighting the tip of one of the arrows that were pre-soaked, and then firing it in there to see how far I can see as the arrow flies.
The arrow goes out almost immediately.
The hell?
Okay.
Guys, it's taking a step back, re-knocking in the next one.
Yeah, light it off one of the torches. Your torches have gone down a little bit as well, and they're fluttering in the breeze as the foul air comes out of this place.
Does the book say anything about this?
I think there
Nope.
might be something there knocking out these arrows. Take a look, and then I'll fire the second one. That's 2 out of 4.
This time it stays lit as it hurtles into the dark. You get a brief glimpse of a sort of a big stone passageway with side doors coming off it. This hallway that's in the middle of it, it almost reminds you of a temple, but the statues of the gods have been defaced, and the only statues that remain look a little bit like you.
I'm pretty handsome, aren't I?
No signs of heat besides the arrow.
You're not sure. You think you see sort of brief glimmerings of heat at the edge of your vision, like things are hiding back in the tunnels at the side.
But I can see in low light vision, so can I see that now that he threw a little bit of light in there?
Yes, through some of the doorways at the sides, you can see glittering eyes in the dark.
Fucking scary. Okay. There's glittery eyes. So more than a lot. at least more than 2. I mean,
I don't suppose these are long lost relatives.
We don't live that long. Ella?
Ella has been doing what she's been doing since that break of day this morning, which is keeping up a constant a stream of consciousness monologue about what she's going to do with all the money. And then I'd like to get some very expensive perfume. Do you know the most expensive perfume? Apparently, they make it with an ingredient that comes out of whale stomachs. Whale puke. Can you imagine that? That's ridiculous, isn't it? So yes, at this point, if she's actually directly asked the question, yes, is it there? Have we found the gold?
I'm just going to point down into the tunnel.
Flutter across, glance down with astral sight.
Arrow knocked to cover her.
You flit forward through astral sight. It's not as dank and corrupt as that spot in the jungle was, but there's definite corruption in here. But it's creeping like veins. It kind of spreads from little patch of moss to little patch of moss, or here and there where mold or mushrooms are growing in the corners. As you flit across, there's sort of rotten detritus where maybe pews used to be for the temple, but the damp has gotten into them and destroyed them, leaving only a couple of stone pews. And then there's these tunnel doorways running down either side.
And you say that the this kind of corruption is kind of sort of almost like veins, as it were, creeping along the walls and stuff. So does that mean that they sort of lead back to perhaps some point of maximal density that we just can't happen to see from where we are, or are they just scattered about willy-nilly?
It just seems to be diffused through the whole place.
Okay. She turns around and gives Bodhi an accusatory look. I don't see any treasure.
You see any danger before the treasure?
Glances back across at these kind of creeping fungal veins that she can see. Oh yes, plenty of that. Don't you see it?
Would you mind helping us avoid it so we can move through to the treasure?
Is that a feasible option based on how it's laid out?
Yeah, you could guide them to pick their way across.
Come on then, this way. No, not there. So yes, because she's lazy and direct, she's just going to lead them to the first door.
Okay, I like that. I was like, I could like silently walk through, but I don't want to walk through silently. Like,
Valken will have a torch in one hand and his sword in the other, scouting, looking ahead. He'll enter, looking at wherever Beth pointed to the eyes.
Okay. So Ella leads you to the first tunnel. As you sort of step down it, look around with your torchlight, you can see the fittings where the door probably used to be, but other than a couple of streaks of rust where the hinges might have been, there's no longer any sign of any door. It opens up into a somewhat cavernous space. Torchlight gleams off gargoyles up in the corners. There seems to be a sort of complex system of gutters, water that collects and condenses on the ceiling, flows through the gutters and out the mouths of the gargoyles. And the ground is a thick mix of dirt, but there's no light down here except your torches. And in this underground garden, there are just mushrooms and molds growing everywhere. Your torchlight glances upon something very, very pale and white, and in amongst the dirt and fungus is a body, a very deformed, short humanoid body, pale white, asymmetrical. It's half rotten. Basically, the half of the body that touches the ground has largely rotted away into it. The mold has infiltrated its flesh, and some tall sort of spike horn-like growths are coming out of holes in its body, mostly around the head, but also lower down.
No. Beth, can you throw a flask of oil? And I'm going to light an arrow. I want you to aim for whatever the hell that thing is. We played this in the jungle. We're not doing this down here.
yeah, that does not sound fun. I will definitely do that with my throwing skills.
I'll turn my thermal vision off first so I don't get blinded.
All right, so you douse the corpse and much of the garden in oil and set fire to it.
Yep.
The mold and mushrooms and so on don't burn particularly well because they're damp, but they start to shrivel and pop. And in the sudden bright light, you can see that the air is thick with spores. And looking up, you can see dozens of eyes looking down at you from the complex guttering system.
Oh, lovely.
I got more oil if you bother me.
They start to hoot and drum upon the walls with wet hands, making slapping sounds on the stone.
Oh no.
Guys, knocking another arrow.
You hear the wet slap of bare feet on stone, seeming to come from everywhere, echoing in all directions. From behind you, you hear a metallic tap, tap, tap.
Look.
Turning around, you see a mob of these pale, naked, twisted troglodytes. And one, ahead of the rest of them, seems to be wearing a garment woven from human hair and carrying a short staff of glittering gold orichalcum. Here and there in the twisted faces, you see the cast of an eye, the shape of a nose, something familiar in each and every one of them. Twisted reflections of yourself, perhaps.
I'm going to just glance over at Val and just, here's go nothing, and then called shot right through the eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Before this thing even says a word.
Is this a tomb? Do you have dead family members here?
My family members don't look like that. If they're dead, they should be in a really rich, ornate crib or mausoleum.
MTV Crypts.
Yes.
All right.
My brain went to the Crypt Keeper when I was saying that. I was like, oh, shit.
Okay. Make your attack roll. Tell me what you get.
Oh, yeah. 1 and 2 karma.
Okay.
Ooh. Oh, that's a 6. It looked like an 8 for a second. All right. So 6 and 2 on the regular is 8. Plus another 4 is 12. And no, wait, I did that wrong because called shots at -3, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. 9 minus 3 is 6. So I only roll a d10.
So it would have been a d10, yeah.
Okay.
Plus the 2 karma.
Okay. Okay. 10. Fuck. Wow. 19. And then I forget what I said for the 2 points of karma. I didn't re-roll those.
Okay, well that hits anyway. So roll damage.
Damage is a 10 point. I need 2d8. That one, and that one, and that one. 8 and 6 is 14 plus 3 is 17.
Okay. A cold shot to the head, which succeeded. So. All right.
Get the hell at my Cramley crypt.
Right. So the arrow takes the leader straight through the eye. He twists around and falls, and the staff falls with a metallic ringing clatter upon the ground. Unfortunately, we're going to have to bring the game to an end there, but it's going to be a cliffhanger that will never be resolved. So as their leader falls, the rest of them hiss, shriek, holler, and charge towards your little group from all directions. Whether you escape or not, we will never know.
We live here now.
Floored to death by your inbred cousins.
So this closes with Barracuda, right? Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. But be pleased to know that if your characters do survive, there is treasure. Yeah.
It's not just the friends we made along the way.
No. So, yeah. I don't know. I always liked the idea of Earthdawn, but
There is a ghost of a good system here, but
yeah.
That,
I
yeah.
don't. I mean, I do understand because they want the granularity, but you would have thought that they would have just, instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 is D3 and blah blah blah, they'd have just given dice integers.
Yeah.
Rather than just having, rather than abstracting that second step
It's
to the rank.
like Savage Worlds with where you have your dice steps.
Yeah. Or DCC as well uses dice steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't. It just, I probably should have printed off the table separately so I could reference it easier. But you shouldn't have to keep it. Yeah, it should become sort of it should become easier to know what it converts to.
I think it probably would if you were sitting down to play a campaign of it. It would just naturally sink in.
It would become second nature.
Yeah, you just go, a 7 is a D12 or whatever it is, and blah blah blah.
I mean, you could fix it fairly easily if characters and their skill levels just had the set dice, and it was always those dice that you were rolling, and it was only the difficulty that changed. And if you made players roll for everything, maybe like in Numenera or whatever, so you'd be rolling to avoid attacks rather than me rolling to hit you. That could be a way to make it easier. So I mean, instead of you having your skill and the modifier to your skill, you would just have, say, 2d8. So you're always rolling 2d8, and it's only the difficulty that changes. That would be one way around it. I don't know, but the settings certainly interesting. I don't know how the other editions differ with the rule system. How many editions have there been now?
I
know there's at least a fourth, because
I think it's on 4th currently.
Because I grabbed that one first, the double, and then realized that it was the wrong one. And that one did not seem, at first glancing, remotely close to this.
Yeah, it looks like they still use steps, but it's different. Wikipedia actually replicates part of the table.
You could just jot it down like 7's D8, but then that's kind of putting it on the players to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, unless it had like a cute little like a cheat sheet that everybody got that just like had all these.
But the trouble is, because the resistance you're going up against uses a different table for your results, cross-referencing whatever you get on your dice, you've actually got to have two numbers in mind, 2 core numbers in mind, and then you need to be able to know, using that second core number, you need to be able to read across for the levels of success. That's a lot to commit to memory.
That's a lot of number. Like,
there's a 4th edition and there's an Age of Legend edition, which seems to use a half-breed system between Fudge, so kind of Fate, and the older system. So
I think it actually kind of does make sense for the era that it came out of between 93 and 2009, as I'm looking at the copyright of the actual book here. August 2009, and there was a lot of holdout that I remember when I played the older editions, that, you know, the style has actually changed from me being in that weird Zennial to millennial to, you know, the generations after and how they play and stuff like that. That was one thing I really kind of noted, because usually, like, our group, you know, before your turn's up, it would be like a party of 12 nerds, and it's either our science teacher was running the game, or we were all piled over at a friend's house and we're sitting in the parlor and stuff like that, and just like huge area, so you have to know what you're doing before your turn even comes up. So I think that they were trying to play off of that bit with the whole table thing, because the looking up the table every round is really clunky in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I kind of miss my lack of a D20. I mean, like, I do like the D6 systems, I do like the D10 systems, but, you know, I have more variety in the D20 systems, as opposed to, I believe, Grim, you said you're more familiar with like D6 systems, like White Wolf, and yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to prefer more granular systems, but this was too much for me, I think.
Yeah.
Wefrip could kind of,
Yeah.
it could, Lustria for 4th edition comes out Q1 2024 if we want to resume this with a different system.
Well, we got plenty of other games to play.
Yeah.
And try out. Yeah, it's all part of the project. So part of it's to learn these things and get insight into them. I'm sure some Earthdawn fan will be along to tell me off at some point.
Max Liao is a big Earthdawn fan, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes, the Age of Legend one is much more of a storytelling system. So it's very hand wavy. So it's kind of the opposite of what we've had so far. So I would imagine that people don't like it. But based on your role, it's all improv stuff, like yes, and you get what you want, and a bonus. Yes, you get what you want. Yes, but you get what you want, but at a cost. No, but, meaning you don't get what you want, but you get something. No, you don't get what you want, and no, and you fuck up and things go really wrong. So yeah, I don't necessarily object to that as an idea, but it seems like a massive departure from all the previous versions.
I will say I had a hell of a lot of fun, and the story was great because it was adapted from the actual setting background, right?
Yeah. The setting background's really interesting. The idea of a Cthulhuid apocalypse, I think, is a good one, and inverting the dungeons so that they're places of safety that you were hiding in. I think that's interesting. I think the setting is set too long after that because it's less of a factor in the setting itself. Which, to me, those shelters is the really interesting part, and the cultures that emerge from them and how they survived. That's the most interesting and novel. It's the USP of Earthdawn, I think.
So from reading the cultures and stuff like that, is it like kind of like a step down from like psychological horror like Stephen King's Mist Cthulhu, or is it like closer towards that than, because, you know, there's like South Park's Cthulhu was all pure conjecture and comedy and stuff like that, which is great. But
yeah,
you know, I like my Cthulhu, and if I'm going to get my Cthulhu, like, give me Alfred Hitchcock, give me give me Stephen King. Of like, oh, you want an ending? I'll give you bastards an ending. You know, if you read the book, the ending of the movie is not with the So
yeah. I mean, with this, I mean, it's not explicitly Lovecraftian mythos, but it's mythos-like. Reminds me of that DreamPod 9 game a lot.
Yeah, the vaguer you keep the mythos stuff, the better.
Yeah. Tribate. It reminds me a lot of Tribate, which DreamPod 9 did back in the day. But it's nice to have a reason for monsters as well, in that these inexplicable elder powers just kind of fucked with shit. Just, you know, it's nice. It's nice to have that. And I wanted to do something slightly horror-ish, given what day it
Spooky.
is. And everything. Anyway, let's call it a night. Thank you everyone for playing. We might try either Broken Shield, if I can get my head around it. It's based on a series of novels by Gunnar Roxon. It's kind of sci-fi investigative thing. If I can't get my head around that, we might give Transformers a try next time. So we'll see you then. Please like, subscribe, share, all that bollocks, and see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.